It's interesting though. Like, is it not bother you, but you have this no brand recognition really on the like side of the shoe or anything?
It doesn't bother me at all because what I'm really trying to do is an understated brand. And I feel like if you're going to wear shoes to work or to church or to a wedding or to a funeral, I feel like that, or to out to eat or dinner or something, I just don't think that the big logo thing works for that demographic and that purpose. And so that's what I'm making shoes for. And then you can skate in them and they're made for skating, but I'm trying to make nice enough shoes that you want to wear them in a casual lifestyle setting. So that's why the logos are so understated. And I didn't kind of get into this earlier, but I'll speak about it now just so we're talking about the minor aesthetics. I put an X on the quarter panel on the side of it, and it's just a small detail stitch, but it's kind of also an anti-corporate logo is not there.
All right. We are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest. Mr. Jaimie Thomas is back with us. How are you?
I'm good.
You look great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm working on it.
As we all are, year by year, right?
I was just going to say that.
No, but thanks for coming.
My
This is
pleasure.
actually like a
Thanks for having
special occasion, I feel like, because, I mean, if you look around our set, we have these beautiful shoes that have been coming, that have been blessed by Jaimie Thomas. And it's interesting because we just had Don Brown on the show talking about the shoe game in skateboarding and all this stuff. And it just so happens that you're launching your own brand, Warsaw, within a week of this episode coming out. I'd love to talk to you about the journey, even the journey of like Fallen, and even the journey of like you just getting your first shoe sponsor, which was Emerica back in the day, right?
Well, my first pro shoe came out on Emerica. But
Yes.
Before that, I had some sponsors.
You were on Etnies before that, right?
Yeah, I was on Etnies, and you know, it was cool to hear him like tell the story of how Emerica came about. And but yeah, I rode for Etnies. Before that, I rode for Simple Shoes.
Oh yeah, I remember Simple.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And then before that, I rode for Vans for a brief period. I think I told the story about me having some of the first pair of half cabs off the line and bringing them to Embarcadero, and Kelch asked me for my shoes. I mentioned this.
Oh, yeah.
Times, but
Is this when you were sleeping there?
it was the first day I got there. Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to, and I will go back a little bit.
Yeah.
In '92, on my way to California, there was an AM final, like NSA AM final contest in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I skated that contest and I got on Vans at that contest. And then Tiny is the name of the team manager at the time. He asked me to stop by the Vans warehouse on my way. I told him I was going to San Francisco. So we went by, and it was the day the half cabs came off the line. It was the first half cabs. Wow. Besides Stevie, I just happened to be the first person to get a pair of half cabs besides Cab.
Crazy.
Yeah, and they handed me 2 pairs in my size,
What color?
all black.
All black? Okay.
Yeah. So really random. It was just timing. And then I went to Embarcadero and had the half cabs. I told the story a few times, but I rolled my ankle in LA skating in those shoes, and then I was just wearing them, and I was at Embarcadero, and Kelch came up to me and was like, "What shoes are those?" He knew that they weren't cut off, and it was like no one had seen them yet, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to give me those."
Did you give it to him?
No, I just said I can't do that, man. We got in a little bit of a standoff, and then he let me slide, and we were cool after that. He was always a good dude to me.
Nice.
So.
Amazing.
When you finally got a pro shoe on Emerica, what that was, I feel that we've talked a little bit before the show started, but that was kind of like your journey into like the footwear. Like, were you into footwear before all that came about, or was that the catalyst of like, hey, I can design?
I mean, as a kid, I was really into footwear. I had all the J's in junior high and high school. I was wearing Jordans, and I was really into sneakers and shoes. Yeah, I've always been into footwear. Even like back before that, in the late '80s, I wore Chuck Taylors, and we would draw on them or like bleach, peace signs or anarchy signs or whatever, Dead Kennedys logos or whatever on our Converse. And like I think footwear has always been a critical part of the kit, and Vision Streetwear, which Don talked about, when those came out, it was like a Chuck Taylor, but very durable and comfortable. So it was like a major game changer at around 87, 88 when I got my first pair of Vision Streetwears. They were like turquoise with like black toe and black they're black vulcanized tape.
Yep.
And they just re-released those, and I'm having a hard time not buying them right now.
You should get them.
I know. I actually have
Nostalgic.
I bought a pair off eBay that are the same as the ones I had, but
originals.
Yeah, originals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How much does something like that on eBay cost?
Like $150 or
bad.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe $200.
This
But
isn't the turquoise one, but it is the blue.
no, that's it. That's the color.
Oh, that's the color.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
turquoise. It's just like a bright blue.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teal.
Wow.
Anyway,
I
those
remember
were
that
so
shit, bro.
dope when those
Holy
came
man.
out.
Shell toes?
Yeah, they're shell toes. When those came out, I was just so hyped.
Little before my time.
Yeah, always been into shoes, and then getting free shoes was like amazing. I couldn't believe it. Like getting simple shoes. I think I wrote Simple. Eric Meyer, he used to be the designer at Vision. He probably designed those shoes, and he went on his own and started Simple Shoes. I wrote him a letter, and he sent me a pair of shoes from a letter. It was just crazy to think. And then I sent him a sponsor me video, and I kind of kept in touch with him. But anyway, I rode for Simple for a little bit. Gons was on Simple.
Sad was on Simple.
Sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Carl Shipman might even have been on Simple for a bit. I remember seeing some photos of Carl wearing them, but
They're full Larry David shoes, by the way.
yeah, they
Like,
are. They are.
You
They
look
are.
back at it now,
Yeah.
100%.
So, there they are.
There they are.
Yeah, I wore the black pair on the bottom left.
Oh, I thought
They're
you meant-
still
Yeah.
around. Holy-
Yeah. Well, they revamped and came
Yeah.
back, and they're kind of doing another retro surge.
Wow.
Anyway, kind of looks
Yeah.
like a skate shoe. Looks like an Etnies kind of.
Mm.
Anyway, wore those. But when I got on Etnies, I wore the scams, and the Sal's before S. Anyway, I wore all those shoes, and I was hyped on. Shoes are always a cool thing, and I think that Muska might have been maybe getting a shoe before me. And we both rode for Toy Machine at the time. It was 96, or maybe they were talking to him. And I remember just starting to like make drawings of shoes and try and come up with panel options and whatnot. And Frank that was working at Soul Tech at the time, I just kind of brought these like sketchy pencil drawings. And he actually turned my pencil drawings into my first shoe, and obviously made it better.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But I was into it, and I hung out at Soul Tech a lot. It was like my and I think I mentioned this in my last interview, like when I first I started writing for that company Invisible, and Transworld was next door. I just hung out at Transworld until I got an opportunity to go on the session and get out and skating with the guys. I pretty much did the same thing at Soul Tech, where I just hung out at Soul Tech so much. And I was skating, obviously filming for Welcome to Hell at the time, but I think a lot of it is about how much time you put in and FaceTime you put in and how much effort you show. And I was definitely putting in the effort. And when I don't even know how it came about, but at some point, they decided they wanted to start doing pro shoes on Emerica, and I was the first pro shoe. So, there they
That's
are.
a
Jamie,
classic
somebody's
shoe,
selling them
man.
for $2,000 on Is this you? Are you selling those?
That's
on
not
eBay?
me. I wish it was me.
Garage days.
I wish it was
I know, right?
That says Dunks and Jordans
crazy.
is their
You can see him in the back there, yeah.
screen name, but
Okay.
they're in mint condition though.
Wow.
I don't know. They're not worth 2 G's, but
they typical kind of skate shoe for the time though. They look like that time period,
Yeah.
like legitly.
And then this was one of the first kind of rubber toe shoes with that style of rubber toe. So it was a little bit, it was fresh for the time, and it was durable. But yeah, they seemed to do well, and people liked them.
So this is the drawing that you gave Franck.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
turned it into.
exactly.
Okay.
Do you think it was like, was it pretty close, or did it look different when you saw it in person?
It was just the side panel, the triangle kind of with the corners. And then I had a little bit of a weaving going around. You can't see it in this, but they were kind of like a lace saver, where the panel around the lace holes was a little bit raised. So the lace holes were a little lower, so you wouldn't tear your laces. But he just did a good job kind of making it into a shoe.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I had a pair, man. I loved them.
Yeah. That signature is wonky. I'm glad I
Cleaned
improved
it
on
up.
that.
Changed since then.
So you were drawing this out for Franck without knowing that you were going to get a pro shoe.
It
right?
was
This
hopeful.
was like
I was
okay,
hopeful.
You were hopeful.
Yeah. I was just like, in case you guys want to do something with me, here's some drawings. Yeah,
That's
man.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. A lot of people don't take that initiative.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I think
For
I was
sure.
all about some initiative. I talked about this a bunch, but I knew that I wasn't the most talented dude, and it was going to be work ethic. It was going to be consistency. It was going to be motivation. It was going to be a lot of other things. It wasn't going to be down to my raw talent. So
I think that
manifesting like that this is going to happen.
I think
You know
you're
what I mean?
off though, dude. Your video parts were like no other.
But Toy
back in
Machine
the day.
video, that was like the next level. That what brought you to the next level, I feel like.
I think so, but if we talk about those video parts, how much work went into those versus more talented guys that I skated with pretty consistently, watching the girl dudes, for example, or the Plan B dudes, watching how effortless what they did came to them versus how hard I had to work for it. That's why I think that, I mean, maybe it's not talent. Maybe I can't say I wasn't the most talented but my talent was not in the actual skateboarding. It was in the pursuit and the determination and the drive. So the talent was elsewhere. It just wasn't in the buttery, like easy flick, 3 flips. All those technical skating didn't come easy for me. So I just found a lane for myself.
Well, all that stuff then showed and shined in your video parts.
I appreciate
You know what I mean?
that.
Outside looking
Yeah.
in, I back then I didn't know. I thought everybody was doing this shit first try.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, Jaimie Thomas is a madman. But no, it did really, like, your work ethic really
Yeah,
shined
you
for
could
sure.
definitely-
Your video
Thank
parts
you.
were
Yeah, for
incredible.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
First shoe, Emerica. That's your first design of a shoe.
Yeah.
Right. And then, how many shoes did you have on Emerica?
Just one.
Just one.
I was designing the second shoe, and my contract was up, and I didn't feel like I was really a priority for Emerica at the time. And I don't know. They were going through their own stuff, and I just felt I didn't really have a close relationship with Pierre Andre, and so Don was my guy, and unfortunately, in order for things to happen, you needed to be close to Pierre, and I just wasn't close to him, and I kind of felt distant. And Chris Miller hit me up, and he said he was starting a new brand, and he wanted me, Jay Ray, and Steve Barrow to be the dudes, and it was an opportunity to kind of elevate my position of influence with the company. Like he wanted to, Miller offered to build the company around us.
We're speaking of audio.
Yeah. So Audio, he offered me, to ride for Audio from the beginning and help name the company and kind of be a part of all of it. And, and I was really entrepreneurially minded. So this was really interesting to me. It was kind of like, it went from me waving to Pierre Andre in the parking lot and then him going in the building rather than coming over and saying hi to Chris Miller showing up at my house and talking about, helping me build and found a footwear company.
Interesting.
Yeah. And very similarly, when Ed called me and asked me to ride for Toy Machine, he asked me to help him rebuild Toy Machine. And he said, like, I heard you like to make videos, and, you're welcome to make a video for us, or anything you want to do, it's there. And so for me, it was the opportunity of being involved with something at a larger level.
Yeah, and learning the insides of it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I was just passionate about growth and about the entrepreneurial side of things too. And so, riding for Ed, that was amazing. And, getting the opportunity to help rebuild the Toy Machine team and film Heavy Metal and film Welcome to Hell and edit those videos. And then when Chris Miller called me for like the footwear version of this, I was like, yeah, I'm in. And my contract was up. It was brief. I was on Emerica. I mean, my pro shoe was only out 2 or 3 seasons.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was short.
When you were going through all the audio stuff and now you're inside learning how everything works, was there any inkling in your mind of like, hey, I can maybe start a shoe company one day?
Not at that time. I mean, it was really like I was just soaking it all in.
Okay.
I was just trying to figure out how to design a shoe and be more hands-on about it, and
The process.
I wanted to learn more about the process. And I got a glimpse of what that looked like at Soltech, doing the first shoe and then working on a second shoe. And then I took that second shoe to Audio and, said, hey, I'd like to base my first shoe off of this. Anyway, so yeah. And that shoe actually looks like a Rick Howard DC, that window.
You know what? It kind
Slightly
of
does.
Yeah.
a little bit.
So there that
Oh.
A side panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Rick Howard DC had come out, and I definitely think there was some influence going on there. I thought his shoe was dope.
Right. I mean, we pull from from everywhere.
Yeah.
Every shoe is a kind of a, a taking of something else, right?
Yeah, I think it's nice though when you have a pro shoe, it doesn't directly have a panel or a look. Like, I mean, you can see that highlight panel right there and the shape of that kind of mesh window on the side. That's too similar.
It
Like
was,
that.
yeah,
If I had more design experience or more, understanding for what I was doing, I would know that that's not cool.
Right. But we're just getting started.
Oh, I'm a
It's
kid, man. I'm
Right.
a kid.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 22 or something.
How many shoes did you have on Adio?
So maybe 3. Yeah, and the 5.0, which was like kind of a team shoe that looked a lot like my Emerica shoe. That was one of them. So, yeah, I had a 1, a 2, and then the 5.0.
So you're gaining all this knowledge with Adio. Then what happened after Adio?
So at Adio, there was a reason for leaving everything. But at Adio, it was owned by K2, and I felt a little bit like I was working for a corporate company, and we'd hit a few issues where I couldn't do this or couldn't do that, and I was like really passionate about skateboarding and skateboarding staying in the hands of skateboarders. And so I always felt a little conflicted at Adio. Like Chris Miller was amazing. Jose Gomez was a lead designer. He was amazing. Jeff Taylor was a team manager. He was amazing. All great group of dudes. But then the corporate, kind of like parent company was K2, and at the time rollerblading and skateboarding were arch nemesis, and K2 was one of the biggest manufacturer of rollerblades. So I always felt this like weird conflict every time I was around whenever K2 got brought up. And if we went on international trips, sometimes K2 marketing directors would be our tour guides, or they would be, we were kind of, there was some corporate vibes still integrated into it. And I'm young and I'm all about skateboarding. So this is like really weird. So I did it for a while, and my career started to continue to grow. And I felt like I may have been like asking for too much, like wanting too many shoes or wanting, more money. I don't really know specifically what it was, but I did want to grow. And then I kind of felt that there might not be an opportunity for me to grow very much there. And around the same time, Raul Reese was starting Circa with Chad Muska. And they approached me about being the counterpart to Chad to balance out the kind of image of the brand. And that was so compelling. Muska and I skated together in the mid 90s, and we, had a great rapport. It ended kind of strangely, him leaving Toy Machine and not being in Welcome to Hell was kind of a little bit disruptive, but we had since made up, and we were growing up. He was really young. He's a few years younger than me, but, we had worked through that, and I felt like Circa was lightning in a bottle. So there's a little bit of, an opportunistic side that I have, where I saw this as an opportunity to be involved in something that really feels good on a lot of levels, and that could take my career to the next level and provide a foundation for me to, I'm thinking about zero. I'm thinking about starting a family. I'm thinking about what can help with those things. And then again, my contract was up at Adio. And so it was like, you have
timing.
those like 2-year, back then it was like 2-year contracts, and I had a 2-year contract and it was up, and I kind of felt a little bit of that rub from the K2, kind of corporate involvement. And then I had Raul Reese and, Chad Muska saying like, hey, you want to be a part of this? And they offered me exactly Chad's deal. And it was like basically a percentage of ownership of the company. And then, a lot of money per year with a higher royalty than anyone else was paying in skateboarding.
Boom.
So I was like,
Made it easy.
yeah, it made it easy. I mean, all things pointed towards that being the right decision.
Were you when you designed shoes there, did you also design like team shoes as well, or was it just your own shoes?
I mean, I think that the pros have influence on the team shoes, but Nico was the designer in the beginning of Circa, and he's an amazing designer. He has done a ton in the industry, and he'd already designed for years, designed footwear. So again, I brought my Adio shoe that I was working on. I brought that to Nico, and then Nico did his version of that, and that became the JT301. And then my shoe at Adio, I think, may have become a Chris Markovich shoe at Adio.
Okay.
And they didn't look too similar. Like Nico had done, he'd kind of gone up pretty far from it, but used the inspirational shapes and stuff of it. And he did an amazing job making my first shoe, which was the 301.
Was there any thought when you're going when you have this amazing opportunity at, you know, Circa with Muska? Was there anything like, hey, maybe I can go get a better let me bring what's on the table over there. Maybe I can get a better deal with this with Adio?
No, because, you know, part of the thing that made me consider the Circa deal was that I was in conflict with the whole K2 kind of structural, you know,
you were
part of it. I was kind of over it. You know,
Did
Chris,
you know that initially?
I knew it initially, but I was told that it wouldn't really be.
It wouldn't be effective.
It wouldn't be a part of it, and I had reservations around it. But Chris Miller was a legend, and you know, to work with him, he's a really sweet dude, and to get the opportunity to work with him,
For sure.
You don't know unless you buy that house. You don't know what your neighbors are like. You don't know what anything. You know until you move in.
Yeah,
you know you don't know anything.
And to be fair, it wasn't that bad. It was just that I was super hardlined about what I was into as well. I was just all about skating.
Core.
Yeah, and it felt weird, you know. And there were skate games, and the funny thing is I went to 4-Star Distribution, which was I had a snowboard brand there. But I don't know. So it felt a little bit more like these guys started this snowboard company and they have built it up and they're doing the same thing here in footwear. It felt organic. It didn't feel corporate.
And snowboarding versus rollerblading were completely. I mean, snowboarding was like born from like skating, and they admired skateboarding and stuff like that.
I didn't really relate to it,
right?
But the kind of the ethos of the snowboarding brand, it was like Plan B of snowboards. Like they had the best snowboarders in the world. So it was like this elite crew, Forum, you know, the Forum 8 or whatever. It was this elite crew of snowboarders that I felt like being next to that didn't seem like a bad thing, and everyone was so cool, and it, you know, just really kind of fell into place as well. I will back up though.
Go ahead.
Right before I signed my contract with Circa, I called Ken Block and asked him, would he have any interest in doing a new brand at DC? And they were in the middle of settling some partner issues.
What year was this? Excuse me?
This is 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I called them before I signed the contract and said, I called Ken, and I didn't really even know Ken. I just called him out of the blue. Like I'd met him before maybe once. And he said he would speak to Damon. He got back to me and said, we would love to do something with you, but now's not the time. We have some things going on that we have to work through.
Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do, or just like throwing it out there?
Well,
Well,
at this point, Muska and Raw Reese are inviting me to be a part of this as a counterpart to Muska. And so I realized that this is probably the peak of my career, 2000 to 2002. And they may be interested in doing a company, and DC was, you know, they were on fire. Like it was like it was one of the
top
most
of the food chain.
one of the most respected games in the business. And if they would consider launching a new brand, I wanted to at least hear them out. It was kind of like the only other offer I could imagine that would make this one be, you know, kind of put on hold or considered comparable. And so I basically just said, I want to turn over this rock before I sign this. And Ken said, we'd love to do something with you, but the timing's not right. I said, I totally appreciate it. I went and I signed the Circa deal, and it was the best decision I ever made, you know, so.
How many shoes did you have on Circa?
I probably can't count that, but maybe 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
That's decent.
Yeah.
And you're making good money. You got ownership.
Yeah.
When Circa, you know, it ran its course, right? But did you leave before to do Fallen? What was it? What was the timeline like right there? I can't remember.
So 2000 I got on.
Yeah.
And what would this have been? This would have been like February, March of 2003. They had a really rough snow season with Forum, and they extended terms to all their retailers. And it was like the worst snow season that had ever been recorded. Nope. And so people didn't pay for their snow goods, and they were extended to so far and so wide that they had a gnarly cash flow crunch. And that cash flow crunch over the next few months affected everyone in the organization. So the owners came to us and said, hey, we can't pay you right now, and we want to ask if you guys can support the company and support these things by just going without salary. We'll get you back. And I was like, yeah, what about interest? What are we talking about here? And they're like, yeah, sorry, we can't commit to interest at this time. So I was like, man.
They would give you the back pay, or
they
no?
would give you the back pay.
Okay.
They would give us the back pay. But
you wanted the bank of Jaimie Thomas.
Well,
we wanted
basically what they were asking me, Chad, and the like higher paid team writers across all their brands, they were asking them to finance them to get out of this issue.
Right.
For free.
Right.
And at first I was like, you know what? These guys have been great to me. This is good. I gave it a few months, but our pay was such that, you know,
you've created a lifestyle around that pay.
Not even a lifestyle. It was more just about the principle of this not being right. You know, over a few months they owe me.
But
50.
You are a part owner.
Yeah, but
and owners sometimes have to take the hit, right?
Yeah, if I was a stock owner, most ownership deals that go to athletes are phantom stock.
Okay.
Where that ownership is only useful is if the brand ever sells and there's an equity swap and you can get a percentage of that equity. Not a percentage of that payout. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you're just along for the ride.
Sure.
So you have no control. I didn't have a controlling share. You know, Chad and I got 7% each.
Minority.
Minority, and it was phantom stock, meaning that we were powerless. We couldn't vote on things. We couldn't decide things. It's just if the company ever sold for 100K, we would get 7K. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 10 million. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We would get our portion, 700K. Yeah. So, and that was still a good deal back then. You know, no one else was really offering, you know, ownership like that.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you say they owed you during that point?
It probably got up to the point where they owe me about 100K.
Wow.
And so they did this for months. And I got to a point where, you know, I was talking to my financial advisor and he's like, look, they can't hold this money and not give you interest. This is not right. So I went and we had talks and things weren't better because now they're accumulating overhead and they had a big company, big crew, big teams, and it was just getting worse. And so the writing was on the wall that this is going to be in trouble for a while. And so it affected Chad and I the most because we were the highest paid. So I kind of evaluated my options, and then I picked up the phone and called Ken Block.
Did you call? Wait, did you talk to Muska about any of this?
Yeah, we were talking. We're talking. He's like, "This is messed up."
The
dog,
brand
is crazy.
Circa was doing good, but snowboarding was doing bad, and so
the infrastructure was taxed so much so that they couldn't get a line of credit to cover the hole. Yeah. It was too great. And every month they continued on, it just got bigger. And so it didn't, you couldn't really see, and they had no real plan to explain of how it was going to change and when it was going to change. We got a couple of like, hey, we're going to pull out of this in a few months. A few months would go by, it didn't pull out of it, you know, and we kept getting those. And then it got to a point where I was like, I feel like I need to do something here. So this happened around February, March. And then by June or July, I basically was like, this, you know, there's no assurance here whatsoever that this is going to get better.
Wow.
And so I called Ken, and Ken was like, we are in a much better place. Come meet with us. And so I went and met with him. I was still in contract. I was in a 5-year contract with Circa. Ooh. And I'm in year 3 of that contract. So then I went to meet with Ken and Damon, and they were like, yeah, let's do something. You know, do you think you can get out of your contract? I'm like, yeah, they haven't paid me in months and months. That thing's been broken. So eventually, right away, we sent them a letter saying, you know, hey, you know, if you don't pay me in full in 30, make me whole in 30 days, then the contract's null and void. So the contract went null and void.
Are you giving up your shares also, or are you keeping
No,
those?
you keep the shares.
Okay.
I was already fully vested after 2 years.
Sure. Okay.
So I think they did 3.5 the first year, 3.5 the second year.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's the story. And then I started Fallen with Ken and Damon, and that was seriously a master class. 1 year working with Ken and Damon was like so amazing. So we started in June or July. We had shoes we designed them in a month, maybe 45 days, and the shoes were in the warehouse in October.
Damn.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. Because they were just pumping so gnarly at that time.
They knew they knew what they were doing.
Well, let me ask you a question though. So now you're with DC doing Fallen. What is the ownership like there? Because I'm sure they had to take majority ownership because they were doing everything.
They wanted no ownership of Fallen.
Really?
And the reason is because they didn't want to do a partnership with me and then diss Danny, Colin, Deerdick, the dudes that have been there forever.
Interesting.
So it was like the how they presented it to them was, This dude came to us with an idea and a plan. And my plan was to launch a new brand. I was going to take some of my models. It's funny, this kind of thing keeps happening. I was going to take some of my models from Circa that were working and that they were booking X amount of units, and I could show them the royalty reports. This is how many shoes I'm selling. So I took those models and then kind of created variations of those models. Okay. And then renamed them with like some, one shoe was the Rival, and that was the shoe that was the closest to my Circa shoe. Okay. It was called the Rival because of that. So I made a few models, that complemented because Circa was going to continue in the market, but I got to negotiate the changes they needed to make to my shoe in order to keep something in the line. And it was a gentleman's agreement. Those guys were good. They ended up making me whole on everything they paid me. It took a while, about a year and a half, like maybe a year and a half. I was gone and they were still making payments.
Wow.
But we worked through it all. We worked through a smooth transition, and they were respectable and they held good on everything they, were supposed to do. But when I went to DC, I needed to pay for all the trademark expenses. And then at this point, this is my first brand, say from back in the day, zero, not really knowing what I was doing and starting zero. The first brand that I did with I had to do a storyboard, make a mission statement, figure out the branding, figure out the look of the brand, and kind of really put a pitch together. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting pitches together, and I'm going and presenting my pitches to Ken and Damon. And these guys are pros. They'd been doing this already. They'd seen so many pros come and go, so many designers. They had already done brands for 10 years. They were high level. And so I would rehearse these pitches to them and have these meetings with them before the meeting and just be going over it in my mind. What if they say this? All right, I'm gonna have this option then. And I kind of went through all this, but it prepared me so much. And at this point, I was backseat driver at Circa. I was involved in all my shoe designs, but I was in the backseat. This one, I was in the front seat.
You were driving that.
Yeah,
bus,
and it was more simple too. The shoe trajectory had gotten really tech, and then now I was trying to go a little more simplified with what I was doing at Fallen. I'd felt like what worked for me in the market was not the more tech shoes. My audience really wanted something simple and durable and trustworthy. So anyway, the shoes weren't too complex, and I was learning the Illustrator program at this time, and it really helped me. The designers at Circa shared some of the designs, that they made in Illustrator, and I was doing color ups for Circa, but then I had those designs to reverse engineer and start building my kind of CADs off of those. Right. So it kind of gave me a jump start of having these tech packs. I basically had really, really professional tech packs to show me how it was done. And then I butchered those for a few months.
Did you have any resources over there at DC? Could you lean on designers and different people?
Yeah, they assigned a designer to me, and that was cool. But I really had such a strong passion for this that I started just doing it myself, and I started designing myself. And then I was the primary footwear designer for Fallen from 2003 to around 2010 maybe. Wow. Or 9. So I designed all the shoes in that period, and that was and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I just really embraced it and loved it. So
can I ask you a quick question? Mm-hmm. How was your skating doing when you were doing all this? Did your skating, was it affected by trying to run this business also?
For sure. I mean, I was the president of Black Box, and and just to speed this story up so we can get to what we're here to talk about. In 2004, DC sold to Quicksilver, and then I found myself kind of back to that K2 rub, and I didn't want to sell to Quicksilver. Fallen had only been around for 9 months, and Quicksilver was like, hey, we need to acquire you, or you need to pack up and hit it. And so,
was there a number involved with that?
No, I told him I didn't want to hear a number.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I wasn't ready to sell out in any way, shape, or form. I'm probably 25.
Oh, that's the best time to sell.
No way. No. I was.
No, but 9 months in, you're still
maybe I'm 27. I don't know. I was just fired up and what we were doing was working. It was selling out. So it was why would I, on the upward swing?
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah, I never really saw that.
I don't know what that even means, but but how do you, looking back at it, and do you even know what that number would have been? Maybe. If you had to take a wild guess,
I'd probably say 5 million or something.
Ooh, okay. But you'd still be on board. But
I would be on board, but I didn't want to work for Quicksilver.
Okay.
I didn't
Fair enough.
I didn't go through the journey I'd went through to have a corporate job at Quicksilver and be a designer for Quicksilver.
For sure.
I had zero interest in that, no matter what money was attached to it.
Zero interest.
Yeah, I see what you did there. I didn't do that on purpose, but
Sometimes it just happens.
so I took Fallen, on our own. We incorporated it into Black Box, and it became a big part of what we were doing there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that environment got more serious, and I became like more of a business guy. And I was designing. Designing was a more fun part of what I was doing. But skating definitely started. If you were to look at the trajectory of my career, I was putting video parts out every 2 years. And then at 2002, we did Dying to Live. And then it's 3 years till New Blood. And then that was 2005. And then the Fallen video came out in 2008. So it's 3 more years. And then I didn't have a part for like a long time after that.
Dying to Live is when we went through the window?
And that's
In the
New
beginning?
Blood.
New Blood.
Yeah,
Okay.
2005.
Gosh, okay.
So yeah, they started getting my parts started getting more and more spaced out because I had less time to skate.
Right. Right.
So, but that's the trajectory I was on. I was really into business, and, I wasn't really ever into business. I was just into like this progression, and I just went wherever it took me. And it's, I hate to say that, but it wasn't really like intentionally, like I wanted to be in control of everything. I was just fascinated by being more involved. And then that eventually led to these decisions where it was like, I don't want to sell to Quicksilver. So I might have been able to find a partner. I might have been able to call, Soltech and be like, hey, can you guys take this? Or DVS, can you guys take this? But at the same time, I was like curious. Could I do this on my own? And
And you've also had the experience too. You've also
a little bit
in the trenches, so to speak.
A little bit, but
Yeah.
anyway, so that was the start of Fallen, and we did Fallen from 2003 or 2004 on our own until about 2015 or 16.
Dang. Yeah.
So-
And we had talked about it on a previous episode interview with you too. Fallen, it was going great, but then you were like what, $1 million something in debt.
It wasn't going great.
Right.
By the time, if you're in debt, it's not going great.
You think?
Yeah.
You guys talked about this quite a bit with Don,
Yeah.
but the sporting goods companies had started to, make an impact on the skate shoe business, and we were all feeling that. And then you had the economic, bubble burst that happened, and those two things simultaneously. And then we had some issues outside of that. A factory burned down. One whole container was contaminated with mold, like outrageously contaminated. And if you lose a whole season in footwear, it's hard to come back from. You lose 2 seasons in a year, it's pretty much the kiss of death. And so
And you have to eat all that cost.
well, yeah, you can't.
Insurance?
There are some recoveries
Okay.
of cost on the footwear itself, but you can't deliver and sell the goods, and you don't have the money to take care and pay your overhead. And you have team riders, you have employees, you have a building, you have all this stuff, but you have nothing to sell.
Yeah.
So you have to pay something for what it costs to make the stuff, whatever you lost. There's some loss there. And then there's the fact that you don't have goods to sell to cover the whole.
Are you pushing black box money into Fallen? Like to try to fund it and keep it afloat?
For the main, Fallen was the breadwinner at Black Box, so it was still working.
Okay.
But really, you got cash equity. How much money you got in the bank and how much money you got in a line of credit. It's like you can only put so much into it before you go to your factory and you say, "Hey, man, can we borrow some money?" And that's where the Fallen debt started accumulating.
And correct me if I'm wrong, did you end up selling to the factory?
No, in the end, I pretty much stopped the business, and then I gave them the trademarks to forgive the debt. I gave them the trademarks and paid some cash for them to forgive the debt.
Wow.
And then I just basically was like, let me move into recovery mode because this is done. Yeah.
Crazy.
So,
Was that a hit on? I mean, like, listen, you have all this success, and then you have this one business that was thriving, and all of a sudden you fail. Like that has to be a huge hit on like your ego and your like frame of mind.
it is crushing.
Yeah.
I had so much identity wrapped up into Fallen, wrapped up into Black Box, wrapped up into the success that I had accumulated in the business world. And, I don't know, you guys can imagine this, but if you got pay cuts going around, oftentimes the owner is the first one to get a pay cut because you can make the biggest dent and you might be able to, weather the storm of not getting paid. You can't ask your employees to not get paid. So I hadn't been paid for years, and and that's tough. Yeah,
Right.
that's part of it. The other part of it is, I was laying my friends off. We went through this in the last episode.
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, it was brutal and sent me into a dark place that took me, really until the last few years to come out of. So, not that I was dark all the time and I'm depressed, but it was waves of self-doubt, and it created self-doubt in me that I never knew was possible.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so, it really tests who you are and tests what you're made of. And, it's kind of like, really this is the best analogy I can put it to. It's like an injury. Like, when you're in your early 20s, you almost think you're invisible till your first major injury.
Yeah.
Your first major injury comes along and you're like, oh, wow, this could all be taken from me. And there's no guarantees for any of this. Things had gone nothing but better from being homeless in San Francisco all the way to this point. There'd never really been a major, issue.
Right.
So in some ways, and Don talked about this too, you feel invincible. I felt invincible with business, that I had it figured out and that I would always figure out a way to land on my feet, that type of like philosophy. And all of a sudden I had made some irreversible changes. I bought a massive building, had a big skate park, had a big team,
Dude, that skate park was huge.
Yeah. They made it in video games. Tech Deck made a course out of it. Like, it was big. Yeah. So there were some irreversible commitments that I made, and it's very similar to like what Don talked about, like Powell and Vision and Santa Cruz. Like, I pretty much I followed that same script.
Crazy.
And got caught.
Yeah.
Got caught way too big when it was time to shrink, and couldn't turn things around fast enough. And it was the best learning lesson of my life. It just took me a long while to recover. That's kind of it.
And which kind of leads us into what we're here for also, is like the Warsaw, right? Like you're starting this new venture after years and years and years. I mean, when did the Fallen thing, did you say 2016?
Yeah, but then then Angel started Straye.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Straye. But you just rode for them, right?
I did. It was just a rider thing. He offered Muska and I a small amount of equity, very similar, a phantom stock deal. If this thing ever sells, you guys will get something for loaning your name to this and helping, get it started and get it going. So there was an opportunity there, but I actually rode as a team rider for Straye for 7 years.
Wow.
And that was the recovery period for me.
Okay.
Between Fallen closing, I think I wore Fallens for a few months and just told myself, I'm going to keep wearing these forever because I have a stockpile. And then I just kind of was like, I feel stale. Like, I want to try something new. And so Matt Bennett was at Vans, and I called Matt Bennett and asked if I could get some shoes. And he just, I talked about this before, but he just sent me these massive boxes of Vans, and it was so dope to be wearing Vans. And so I wore Vans for a year and realized there was no real opportunity there for me. Along this way, I, called Converse, the people that I felt like I could maybe fit with and jive with. And
you're almost done. You just wanted to ride for somebody.
Yeah, I totally just wanted to ride for somebody. I not even like starting a company was not in the cards. Like, I was seriously in recovery mode. I was just trying to rebuild myself. Like, I felt like a shell of a human after that much loss. I mean, it's like, I don't know, well, your house burning down, like your partner passing away. It was something to that level. Yeah,
Crazy,
because it was such a huge part of me that I had to let go of. And then I also blame myself for all these decisions I'd made, all these commitments I'd made, and the fact that I drank my own Kool-Aid and that I'd, just went in too big, too deep, just with the arrogance and pride that this thing will never end. And I was invincible.
Right.
And, and I could see the look on people's faces when they would come and tour Black Box. They'd be like, you bought this building? Like, this is your skate park?
I remember pulling up, tripping.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it was almost like I was the guy who, like, his grandpa gave him $1 million and he lived fat for like a year. You know what I mean?
And then
I basically lived large for 10 years.
Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, I lived large for 10 years and then had to be the guy who ate it. You know what I mean? Who just ate the humble pie for the next 7.
Right.
So I guess, that 7 years fat, 7 years lean. That's exactly it. 7 years fat, 7 years lean, and Straye went through, Angel sold 50% of the company to a partner that was going to help him with distribution and take a lot of the workload and stress off of his plate. And this was a few years ago, 2-3 years ago. And that partnership over a few years didn't really work out so well. So he was going to buy the company back, and he was going to, put it all on the line to reinvest in his company. It made perfect sense. I believed in what he was doing, but that meant he was going to be a little more financially strapped. And for me, it was kind of like, what more can I contribute and how can I help Angel here? I don't feel like I'm really doing that much, and I don't really know what my future looks like. And it's cool to just have a sponsor, but he could call me any day. I'm not in contract anymore. He could call any day and tell me my services are no longer needed. And then now I have a hole in income that I'm not able to take care of my family how I have. Okay. So that was a year and a half ago. And that was, it was around January or so last year. And it kind of put the writing on the wall of like, what are you doing? Like, you have all this experience. I was just thinking to myself, like, you have all this experience. You're not really doing anything with it. You've gone through therapy. You've gone through recovery. I've kind of rebuilt myself and my, who I am, and reestablished what's important to me and my priorities. Could I do this? And then that was kind of like that first, like, initial, like, if I did do, what would it look like? And so I started thinking about that, and I went into that kind of mode for about a month. And then I came out with a vision, and then, another month or two came by. I called Angel and I said, hey, I want to do my own thing. And he's like, that's dope. I support you. What's your plan? Yeah. And I just said, he had agreed. He didn't pay me as well for a few months as he was trying to, get the company going again and kind of take it all onto his own. And so he's like, what if we see it through the end of the year? I'll give you your back pay the first few months of 2024. Okay. And then, my plan was originally to launch in spring of 2024, to launch Warsaw in spring of 2024. Then that moved to summer. Then that moved to fall. And here we are in holiday.
Right.
So that's just what happens. And I understand that. I think you got to just push for something, and, you're going toward it. Yeah. So, I effectively rode for Straye through March.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. While you were working on this the whole time, because this doesn't take a couple months to develop.
Yeah, Angel was like, do your thing, man, and repost stuff. And, we're working on a Zero collab with Straye still. Angel and I are good. He supported me, really well those years, and I'm very grateful for his support and just letting me be a part of it. And, to be honest, to be fair, he really didn't ask much of me. It was just like social support. And if he ever needed anything or needed a photo shoot, I showed up when he said show up. And I tried to do everything I could, but for the most part, he didn't ask a lot.
Oh, okay. When you have this vision, I mean, look at the landscape right now. Like, we just had Don Brown on. We had mentioned it before, but there's basically no skater-owned brands. Skater-owned footwear companies, right? Like,
very rare.
It's rare. So I
think it's coming back.
I hope so. Yeah. I really
you
do.
You got Greco doing his thing.
Oh my God. I hope it comes back.
You got Klein's doing hookups again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But did that have any play on your mind of like, well, God, we're going into bumpy waters right here?
No, because
will this work?
So financially, this is unfortunate, but I think about the financial aspect of it second. I think of, is there room for something different in the market? And is there some white space or gray space, whichever you want to call it, that is a void in the market? Is there a void in the market? And that's really what I was looking for. Okay. If there's a void in the market, it can work. And so I just spent a little bit of time, trying to identify what that void in the market was. And, one brand that's very inspirational that I feel there's not a lot like it at the moment is Gravis. So Gravis, they were way before their time. They, Dylan was on some whole other level, and he was really pushing a look and a lifestyle that was fashion forward in the skate space, and he was making them skateable. And, so much respect for Gravis and what those dudes did, but ours is on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's really not much. And if Gravis existed now for that, like, I don't know, 27 to 50-year-old customer, there's a customer there. And so I thought to myself, like, okay, if there's, if I could imagine that working, what if I did something with all of the influences of now and to really truly understand and analyze the landscape of now, and then built a company with some inspiration, off of a smarter, like kind of cleaner, more simplified, understated footwear brand. And then I thought to myself, like, oh man, a team is hard. And that's where I feel like there's this great divide, whether are you going to have team riders and make videos and just be completely committed to the core skate game, or are you going to focus on product? And so I asked myself that question over and over again. And one of the toughest things is trying to make the team rider, the video, to make those salaries, to make that whole mission work. It's very challenging. It's very stressful. Mm-hmm. And I had asked myself, am I willing to take that on? I have it with Zero already. We have a big team. We have, there's overhead that comes with that team. And there's responsibility. You got to show up for those guys. You got to do all these things. And I just thought to myself, how beautiful it would be if it was just all about the product. And then I found a way to market and tell stories about the product. And I put my money into that instead of focusing on team. Mm. And so I started thinking to myself, like, oh, I think this could work. You could allocate the marketing resources to product, to telling stories, to travel, to campaigns. And so I started just dreaming it up. And, and really the goal for me was, what am I passionate about and what do I want to wear? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the same thing that led my passion for the other projects. It was like, what was I into along the way, Right. And this is what I'm into now. It's basically like skate lifestyle, elevated skate lifestyle. And I'm into, nicer brands, and I want to wear nice stuff, and I want to have dope materials. And I don't know, maybe I'm growing up.
Well, in this case, that's awesome, because you could work with a lot of people in this case. You don't have to just work with riders. You can open up to everything.
I mean, that was it. Once I started dreaming about doing like art collabs and music collabs and like, skate legend collabs. And I just was like, okay, there's a whole, there's a brand opportunity here that doesn't exist and no one's doing it. So what does it look like? And what would it look like for me? And then what would the shoes look like? And then, so for me, it was, pretty simple. I wanted to create a skate-inspired footwear and apparel brand with all premium materials that tell story through product.
Because you could still support skateboarding and skateboarders and everything. For
sure. For sure. I could celebrate it, really is what I could do. Yes. I feel like I could celebrate skateboarding in a way where the campaign is about, this collab and giving, making sure you make a cool documentary to go along with it and support it, and to have like a launch event, and to, there's just so much celebration that can be done inside it. And so I wanted to create a brand that would celebrate skateboarding on all these different tiers and celebrate, pretty much, my hope is, the first drop, I have a collaboration with Ed Templeton.
Sick.
And for me, that's so cool to be able to do something with Ed at that level again. And also he trusts me. I can call him and go, hey, I'm working on this new project. Would you be the first collaboration? There's not a lot of people I could call, and them trust me at that level, to just really go, okay, yeah, I trust you.
Right.
Did you show him your vision and everything?
I did, but to be honest, he didn't even really need to see it. Yeah. He just was like, yeah, I trust what you're doing. And then as I mocked things up, I sent them over to him, and he's like, yeah, that looks amazing. That looks great. He was just, Ed's always been super easygoing, so it complemented what he did. And, I offered him a higher than average royalty again. So I'm kind of learning and taking things from along the way, and we're doing licenses at Zero, and I'm learning about the license game. So I'm pretty much licensing Ed Templeton's artwork for this collaboration. That's right. And then working with him to make it interesting and cool. And so I want to keep doing that. Ed's just one person. So my friend Richie Valdez, who's helping me with some of the storytelling of the brand, We're making a little mini doc on Ed, and we go over to his house, and I just talk to him about how he got into art, and he shows us his archives, and he's painting, and he goes through his photo albums and his Toy Machine albums, and we get to kind of just talk about how we connected and how we did what we did together. But really, it's just spending time together and hearing Ed tell stories about his career and how he got into art and where he's at now. So it was really cool. So I'm excited to have a little documentary about that. And then Richie and I've also been making a documentary for the last year and a half of a Making of the Brand documentary, where he interviews me every couple of months just for a download of where I'm at and how I'm feeling about the process, And when I got first samples in, second samples, getting close to production, he actually went to China with me to, be there in development. So yeah, it's been, really it's just kind of like documenting the process of creating a brand and knowing that has value in itself.
100%.
And that story makes me and this story unique. So yeah, it's really, if I were to look at it, it's really kind of back up and go, what is not happening in the market? And how can I make this project as different as possible and in as many different ways as possible?
Well, you've already been down the road, right? You've already been down this road. So, you obviously know relatively what things cost. Inflation has already, reared its head. So maybe things cost more than they did.
Customs are more from Asia
Customs,
as well.
everything. So you knew...
Excuse me. Duties are more.
Okay, duties.
Customs, but duties are more.
So you knew kind of like what the road would be like, right?
Kind of, but if we're going to get back to me being in the trenches in business, we're back in the early 2000s, I had a lot of employees. When we brought Fallen over, I had so much support and so much help at Black Box that I wasn't really in the weeds with all of the expenses, as I've been recently. Mm-hmm. So this has been a crash course, getting back into everything, trademarking, just like ground level building from scratch.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sorry. Do you have to have insurance with shoes? Like, do you have to protect yourself with people? Like, I don't know how all that works.
You're talking about it in your building or on the water?
No, just in general.
I hope not. I'm just kidding. Your freight forwarder supplies some level of insurance, and then you have insurance at your operation in case someone breaks into your place.
Gotcha.
So you have different coverages here and there, but
because we also hear about like how much shoes cost to manufacture, the lasts and all this stuff and the Vulcan, like everything, like it's very expensive. No,
it ain't cheap.
It is expensive. It's more expensive than creating a mold for a skateboard and creating graphics and stuff. The barrier to entry is larger than skateboarding or apparel or wheels. Trucks there's some mold costs, there's some developments costs that go into that. But usually the factories work with you on making that happen. For example, like if you you do sample molds and they're charging you along the way for the sample molds, but a really great factory will assume some of the responsibility on the sample molds. It's only till you get excessive and you're like nitpicking it or tweaking it, they'll start charging you. So usually they'll cover some of the sampling cost. And when you get to open molds, when you're about to open like a full size run of molds, whether it be the molds and the last, it's a blanket charge. And so for a run of vulcanized shoes, it's about $40,000. Oh. And for for the last,
the
last and the molds for one size run.
We're not even talking about actually making the shoes.
Not making the shoes. This is just development cost.
$40,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what the factories normally do is they offer you a percentage that goes on every pair of shoes that you buy. So it breaks down to like $1.50 or so for the first year. So you have a lesser margin. You're living on a lesser margin. So $1.50 gets added on to the cost of every pair of shoes until you've paid off the $40,000.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or you can just pay the $40,000 if you want.
Yeah, if you have $40,000, sure. But why would you do that?
No, I get it.
A lot of times it's 0% financing. So they're not charging you interest on it.
Because obviously they want to see you succeed because it means business for them.
Yeah. And then this is kind of the formula for the way that a lot of a lot of mold costs get, kind of amortized is the word. It gets amortized across your production, and if you And then this is where you get it. This is the rub, is that if you're starting a new footwear brand, you need the average minimum quantity. MOQ is minimum order quantity.
Mm-hmm.
The average MOQ is 500 pieces per colorway per style. Wow. So if you have, 6 styles that we'll get into, you have 6 styles, or if you have 8 styles, you're at 8 times 500. So
does it depend what factory you're at, though?
Most of the time it's 500.
Okay.
Yeah. People do go up, but you don't get a lot of people going down.
I've heard people going down, but at one point I was 300 from.
Yeah, maybe.
It probably depends on the factories.
And a
but
relationship.
you don't hear about that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of is a standard. 500 is usually the minimum. A lot of factories, like vulcanized factories, like, right now there's a duty coming from China that's pretty radical. And that could, depending on who's president, that duty could get larger. And the bigger corporation, or the bigger, sporting goods brands are moving to Vietnam, and they're moving to other places. And since they're moving to those places, the minimums in those areas, because they're used to those massive brands, the minimums are huge. Mm. So like to make a shoe in Vietnam, the minimum might be 2,000 pieces.
Wow. Well, yeah. I was confused. I think if you want to make a certain shoe, it's around there. But if you make different colorways, it's like it's different.
Yeah, I don't know what factory you're going to, but if you got their number,
No, I'm
just kidding.
I know what you mean.
I'm just kidding. Ours is 500 per color per style. Yeah. It's 500 everything you want to make.
Yeah.
You can make less, but you're going to pay an upcharge for it. And the reasoning is because they're not getting the expenses are going up for them in materials. The expenses are going up for them in labor.
Sure.
It just becomes more tedious the fewer pairs you make. So they've a lot of factories kind of have that like 500 benchmark. At any rate, for, this situation, we made 8 styles. So that's 4,000 pairs of shoes. And that's big.
That's a lot,
I'm buying 4,000 pairs of shoes, which is a container. And,
how much does the cost of a run of shoes cost?
For around 4,000 pairs, it's about $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be more, but that's a pretty
good. It's about 20. I mean, we're doing really rough averages here, $25 a pair.
Okay.
So look at it real quick. You buy it, we get it landed at $25.
Mm-hmm.
We sell it for 50. Shop sells it for 100.
Okay.
So just quick math. And if you go 4,000 times 25, you're at that $100,000. So that's kind of, real easy numbers.
So when you were going into what made you?
I hope 25 times $4,000.
Trust me, I believe you. I don't know. I'm bad at.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
When so now you're like, okay, well, I'm going to order all these shoes, but I got to sell them. Mm-hmm. Now you already have probably relationships with shops, and I'm sure online is going to be huge for you too. But now, how do you go about?
I mean, that is a big question. I feel like. For me, I have a good understanding for what I want to make. I have a good vision for what I think might work. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I know the audience well, but do I know them 4,000 pairs of shoes well? We'll see. And I didn't pre-sell everything. I didn't go about it that way. I put it all on black.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to sell the shoes. I'm going to find a way, I'm going to... and it's kind of crazy. Like most people wouldn't do that.
Right.
I talked to Muska about his plan of how he wants to do his thing, and it is totally different. He is doing the one-man empire. I'm doing it like limited edition, 150 pairs. And then when I do that, I'm going to use it to, he's got his own strategy that he wants. But I wanted to create a brand, and not to say he doesn't, but I had a different vision. I wanted to create a footwear and apparel brand that was an all-inclusive brand that someone in this age demographic that was into the aesthetic or the style could buy into the brand. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just about footwear for me. I wanted to get into beanies, to hats, to chinos, to fleece, and the only reason is I'm very passionate about that stuff as well. So I am into fleece. I am into pants. I am into the fashion side of skating. And so I was really excited about that, like a whole cohesive brand, not just I want to make footwear. I live and die by footwear. Right. Footwear is cool, but you've seen the shoes now. They're very simple. And I feel like if all I did was create shoes that were that simple, clean aesthetic, it's not enough of a brand story. And so I'm trying to create a brand, and that's been my mission the whole time, is to create a brand. And I feel like that's what Fallen had that as well. And so this is kind of like a 2.0, a little bit of like this more sophisticated, kind of like evolved version, understated, a lot of tonals and not big logos. And, it's kind of like the grown-up version, if you will.
Sure. I love the mission on what you're trying to accomplish, but where does the name come from? Where did you come up with that from?
So there is a post-punk inspiration from the band Joy Division. That is one of the most famous post-punk bands of all time, and everyone loves their music. But they were called Warsaw before they changed the name to Joy Division, because there was another band in the UK called Warsaw Pact, and it was competitive, and they were already kind of doing their thing, and so they changed the name of the band from Warsaw to Joy Division. But that's not the primary, and also the Eastern Bloc and in Europe, there's a minimalistic design aesthetic that I really like, that I think is emulated through the brand. But, to be really clear, I thought it was a familiar sounding name, a cool sounding name, and it looks really aesthetically pleasing with the WA on both ends. And so I really just liked the aesthetic of it, the way it sounded, and the fact that there were these like tidbits of inspiration that kind of like brought this whole thing to life. So it's, I'm not Polish, and, mad love to all the Polish people out there.
We were talking about that before the show.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping that they don't feel like I ripped them off. But you can't trademark a capital city. So I would have a challenging time there, but because each word means something on its own, you can break the word apart, and you can trademark it broken apart, and then you can have designs on sweatshirts and t-shirts where you put it back together.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's loopholes for everything.
So it's the loophole. Right. And then you guys, have seen the shoebox and stuff. I put the W logo in the middle to kind of create a lockup. So it all flowed well, and it reads Warsaw real clear, but it's broken up for the trademark purposes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was kind of, and I feel like when you hear a name, it should sound familiar, and it should sound cool, and and I feel like because there is some tie-in to, and Joy Division got the name for Warsaw from a David Bowie song called Warsaw. So, David Bowie is super influential in skating and in art and in music, and Joy Division was the same. And so there's these subtle tie-ins in the background, but the word and the way it sounds and kind of almost the feeling it portrays, that's where you get that, when we go through the website and we kind of go through the look of it, it's like this black and gray and white vibe. Yeah. And I feel like that kind of has that vibe of Eastern Europe or the Eastern Bloc. And so it's simple, but I just wanted it to be familiar, wanted it to sound cool, look cool, feel cool.
I like simplicity.
You broke it down eloquently, bro. That was dope.
Well, what about? I think a lot of people just make companies just to make it. Hey, want to do a shoe company? Yeah, let's do a shoe company. And there's no thought behind it. There's no inspiration.
Got a name, nothing, but there's nothing that's juicy.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, you got a story.
Yeah.
What about the logo though? How did you all right, this is it. This is what how did you finalize
a lot of times, and I did the same thing with Fallen. I made the Fallen logo. And you could look at these two logos and go, the same guy made them both. But I start off with just the letter, and then try and figure out all the different cool ways you can make that letter, and how you can intertwine it, how you can make it interesting. I don't know. I think that I've really enjoyed that part of it. And so each one of these steps, like whether it be coming up with a name or coming up with a vision, storyboarding, kind of like trying to figure out what it's going to look like, what color palette you're going to use, what the logo looks like. I love all those individual processes. And so I would get lost in each individual process and kind of forget about the company and just be like, this is my mission. I just got to come up with a cool logo. Or before that, I got to come up with a cool name. And then I got to come up with a cool logo. And I would go deep. My wife would talk to me and I would just be a shell of a human just thinking about this and obsessing about it. And I realized that obsession, in some ways is a curse, but in lots of ways it has been my superpower in the sense that I will obsess about something until I get to the bottom of whatever it is I'm trying to figure out, and that I genuinely like that tortured process. I really enjoy being obsessed about something, and I just kind of take turns in life about being obsessed about different things. And I'm really working on a balance though, and trying to find a balance. And I find balance through a routine, through following a regimen every day. And I can depend on that regimen, but then I can be obsessed in these, like, now there are these time portals. It used to be just completely like on my terms, and I would, whatever. But now I've gotten a lot. I've learned to manage that obsession and apply it in these different ways better. So that's right. I don't know if that helps, but
no. If you don't mind, I would like to get into like the shoe, because here's the thing. It's like, this isn't like a sponsored show or anything. Like, we just know, like, we talked to Don Brown and about the skater owned businesses, and I think it's really important to like talk about, the industry and support skater owned brands. I think besides actually skateboard brands, like, there's few and far between now.
Yeah,
and you mentioned before, like, hey, I think it might be coming back, like skater owned shoe brands. And I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more.
I think they're going to be
important.
small though. It's going to be like,
That's fine.
Yeah,
but we need to support them.
Yeah.
If we don't support skater-owned brands, there's going to be nothing left.
I mean, the skate-owned brands have to create compelling product, or there's no reason to support them. So it's not on the people to support the brands. It's someone to make a brand worth supporting.
Exactly.
I get it.
Exactly.
I mean, yes.
There's got to be feeling behind it.
Yes,
Yeah. So
for sure.
I am trying to come up with what that is, and that's really my biggest challenge is, what are the points of difference, and why should I support your brand?
Right.
And I'm trying to create as many of those as possible. And that you talked about earlier, who's going to buy the 4,000 pairs? It's a great question. Who is going to buy them? I am going to do the best job I can at storytelling, but I have to ask myself, what am I willing to do that others aren't? And it's the same thing with my skate career. It's the same thing with all the things I've done in life. And it's like, I'm willing to spend the time and the research and invest the money. I'm willing to go through as many hours as it takes to get a name, or to get, to work out a vision, or to come up with the concepts, or to design the shoes in a way, and to continue sampling until the point where they are something that feels complete and feels ready. And, and to be honest, this is just the foundation. I struggled with the release because now my mind is continuing to evolve, and I already want what I see now for the future of Warsaw. I want it now. And I have to just accept that this is just a start. I just have to get started. Yeah. I had to remind myself that thousands of times. Well,
you're already immersed in it. This is the first time we've seen the shoes. When you came here and we started opening up boxes, and I'm like, dude, these are... I was ready to give you a sponsor me tape. Like, I'm ready to go. Jaimie, like
playing behind you right there. There it is.
That's worth a pair of shoes,
easy,
at least, right?
Easy. I like how you said too, I'm going to need these kind of often.
Yeah. Well, first of all, because when we open the box and we're like, and I'm looking at them, and they're really well made. They're not like light where you feel like it's just kind of a cheap shell of a shoe.
And it doesn't feel heavy when it's on.
You know what I mean? Like it's not light, but it's not heavy, right? And
it feels like it has substance.
The first question I asked Jaimie was like, these are kind of more high end. Like, in my opinion, I'm like, how much are these? Because we've seen shoe companies come and go, $300, $400, $500.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the starting demographic for me is skateboarders or retired skateboarders or people that have grown up around skateboarding.
Yes.
But they're 95 to 110.
That's not bad.
No,
I feel like we're on.
I feel like pricey, but
I feel like we're on an infomercial right now.
No, it's a little pricey, to be honest.
Yeah, but what you're getting.
But look at the shoe. Like, there's shoes that are that priced already.
That's what I mean, though. It's that price because of the quality that you have.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
I mean, I feel like it comes down to the materials, and when you use premium materials, the prices go up pretty quickly. And I would love to have handmade shoes in the U.S., but it's $500. And skateboarders aren't going to pay $500 for shoes.
Crazy.
If this was a high fashion shoe, this shit would be like $400.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's just be real.
I've seen $400 or $500 shoes that are just like this.
Yeah. That's very nice of you to say, Chris.
I'm just saying, I don't wear them, Jaimie, but we see them.
Old
There's
schools.
people. I got the Vans on right now, but soon to be Warsaw with my new sponsor. Take us through.
Okay.
a shoe like that one you're holding right there.
Yeah.
It's a mid top.
Yeah.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I like the silhouette. This is what I'm wearing these days. I feel like the mid top works well with baggier pants. The cuffs lay on them well. I have a high instep, so I can skate my shoes unlaced, and you can have a mid top laced up like 3/4 of the way. You can have a little bit loose at the top, and it looks dope and feels dope. This is a white pig suede. Pig suede's super durable. It's a little bit thicker than cow suede, and it takes more time to break down. At least the pig suede that we're using. I also use a pig suede liner. It's the reverse side of pig suede, so it'd kind of be like the nubuck side of pig suede on the inside, or the leather side. It's super supple, has a really nice hand feel. And then, some people have already hit me up about this on Instagram as I've shown these. I really put a lot into the insole. This is a PU insole with a pig suede liner.
Oh, wow.
So it just feels really nice, feels good on your foot. You wear them barefoot. They break in really well if you don't wear socks, Kelly was tripping on that, but I feel,
you don't wear socks.
yeah. I don't wear socks when I'm chilling. If I'm going skating, I wear socks.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, you get blisters because.
No, but we've seen you lip slide a handrail with
Oh,
your
yeah,
shoes
that's
on.
true, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
Versatile.
there are phases of my life where I didn't wear socks and I didn't wear shoes, but these days I don't wear a lot of socks, and I like if I'm going to the movies or something, I like the feeling of no socks and just having a casual shoe kind of like loosely on your foot. But these are really great for that, just because the materials are so soft and comfortable.
I feel nowadays when sometimes we buy shoes, skate shoes especially, like you see where they start to skimp out. You see they're skimping out on the insoles. They're skimping out on little things you're like, okay, where's my extra shoelace? Where's this insole's paper thin? Like, what's going on here?
A lot of that is just about quantity and profits. So like if the company's crushing, or this one style of shoes crushing it, and they were to lower the price of the insole 25% across mass units, then they make a ton of money.
Millions of dollars.
But I'm not in that zone. Money is not really the goal and focus right now. I'm building a brand, and I'm trying to create something that feels different to what's in the market, and it feels really nice. And so these are the first shoes I ever designed where I didn't ask how much anything cost. I just designed it all, and then went back and said, okay, can you give me costing? And then all I did was I changed the box. I didn't change anything about the shoe. I had a $5 box originally.
Is that no good? What's
just think about it. $5 it costs at.
That's pretty gnarly.
What's it cost? Hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah.
$5 at production.
Sure.
That box now sells to the shop for $10, and then the shop sells that box for $20. Should the customer be paying $20 for the shoe box that they may or may not use again?
If it's a nice box and I can store stuff in it,
let's just go with the pricing of the shoes. They're this pig suede mid top's $110.
Okay.
They're now $130 because they have a really nice box. Now we've gone from pretty expensive to priced out of the market.
There you go.
I canned the box and went with a more affordable box.
Your box is still pretty nice.
I appreciate that.
I could still store some good stuff in this box.
All day.
I tried to. I didn't want to use corrugated cardboard.
What was a $5 box like? If this is a heavy,
it was
a nice box.
It was a matte finish box with a gloss Warsaw logo, and I also every pair of shoes came with a shoe bag in the beginning.
What's the shoe bag all about? Get rid of the shoe bag. We don't need a bag for our shoes. You know where that bag's going, Kelly? That bag is going in the trash as soon as I get the
that bag.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
There's weed in that bag.
Just because you don't use a shoe bag doesn't mean no one uses a shoe bag.
Who's using a shoe bag?
Anybody with
leave a comment below if you're using a shoe bag.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
If you buy a pair of $1,000 or $1,500 Louis shoes and you put them on your shelf and you wear them twice a year, they're dusty as hell all year.
We're talking about a whole different bag now. We're talking about a Louis bag.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just giving you an example of why one would use a shoe bag.
I throw it away.
Okay.
Chris isn't really a shoe guy.
No.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
He's the
talking to him
lowest
right now
person
is
No.
All I'm praising
Hang on a
you
second.
for
No, you're
not
not. Hang
using.
on.
Yes, I don't like the shoe.
So
bag.
hang on
Go
a
ahead.
second. If you had a pair of Jordans, if you had a pair of collectibles, if you had a pair of sneakers that were nice and you were hyped on them,
Right.
and you had a dope closet that you had your shoes laid out in bags or you had your shoes propped up a certain way, it's just all about the particulars and the details. And if you don't use it for your shoes, use the bag for something else, man. It's a versatile bag. You can put other things in. You can put your lunch in it. You can put
You put all types
Yeah.
of shit in.
anyway.
My point is, if you got a pair of J's that you got the box already. You're not throwing that box away. If you got
I
a
feel
nice
you,
pair.
dog.
So you're
It's a
putting
nice
that in the
touch.
box. Like,
All it is it's a nice touch,
okay,
Chris.
It's
a nice touch.
you can get rid of the bag.
They don't
for
give
me.
you a bag for Jordans anyway. But
See,
Hey, did you notice that there's no bag in the shoes?
I love that there's no bag.
But I am doing a limited.
I don't need the bag.
I'm doing like a 50 pairs of this Ed Templeton collage on a slip-on and a mid, and it comes with a bag.
Oh.
And the bag could be keepsake. You could put something else in it. It really doesn't matter. It's
Okay.
just like if you like your sneakers in a bag, you're right. It's probably one of 100 skaters that would put shoes in a bag. Maybe less.
when you're traveling, I'll use that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Every time I travel, I put my shoes, whether they be new or used. You don't want them on your clothes.
Yep.
I put them in a
That's true.
grocery bag.
put them on my clothes. I just put them right there, face up.
When they're
sole face
used?
up. Yeah.
dude. That's not.
When I went to Woodward,
Dude, come
Kelly,
on, bro.
That's nasty.
I put my van right there, boom, on the top.
Well,
You're
you-
not getting the clothes dirty or anything.
Yeah, maybe.
Jaimie,
I
I'm
mean,
just
you wear
making
the
a push.
same thing every day, so
I'm just making a push for this no bag thing. But listen,
He said
Dad
there's no bag,
Templeton,
bro.
there's a bag.
It-
But it's,
so-
it's
so
probably
it's-
a cool bag. It's probably and Templeton graphics on
Yeah,
it.
it turned into that the collectible shoes that we'll make will have a bag. So to your point, a bag wasn't necessary. It was just me trying to figure out how I can do cool little things.
Okay.
But you could get a toy like a Happy Meal, and it might be better suited for the Krob customer.
You're telling me that a crop cut? Okay.
No, I'm saying that they don't want a bag.
If they want something else.
They want a
man.
Happy
And I
Meal.
appreciate your input. Honestly, I appreciate your input. You're basically just confirming the fact that I cut the bag and that was $1 because the bag costs $1 almost,
Oh,
and then you
wow,
got,
really?
and then you go, well, maybe 68 cents or
Okay.
something. Then you go 2 times and then 4 times to the customer, and now that you're buying a $4 bag you didn't want.
Right. No. But that's the fact that I love. I love that you're not giving the end customer the responsibility for paying for your bag.
Totally. But I had to make that. All I was getting at is
Yeah,
I had to make those decisions. I had to make the box more affordable. I ditched the bag.
Right.
And then I also tried, and it's funny, I tried bag. Like my Alfonso Ross Savale shoes come with a bag. And I'm like, I'm not much of a bag guy either unless I'm like on the top shelf. And so the top shelf would
He
get
makes
a bag.
good shoes, by
He
the way.
does
Shout
make
out
great
to
shoes.
Alfonso
Big
Rawls.
shout
but
out.
then he uses pig suede as well, right?
He uses a lot of pig suede.
Are
And
your
full,
shoes
full
on-
grain?
Are your shoes gonna be only pig suede? Because this whole run looks like
No,
it's
that's premium cow suede.
all. Oh, okay.
So there's split leather, which is the most common suede, and that's what all skate shoes are made of. And then there's premium cow suede, and then there's calf leather. And calf is really supple, kind of like a pig suede feeling. And then split suede, it turns white when you skate in it. And then premium suede just has a smoother hand feel, almost feels like pig suede because it's like the nicest part of the cow. But we also, I mentioned an Ed Templeton collab. Ed Templeton's a vegan, so I want to make sure and have, I wanted to make sure his shoe was vegan.
Mhm.
So, we did this. This is a premium synthetic suede. Feels like suede, but it doesn't stretch out, doesn't blow out. It's black all the way through. It doesn't wear white. So synthetic suede is better in some instances. And this is a synthetic. It's not as supple as a pig suede on the liner.
Yep.
But the synthetic suede
Look at how
feels
that feels.
feels really
God, I could
good.
sleep
I
on
love
this
that.
thing.
And as far as the durability goes, the pig suede and the synthetic suede, in my opinion, are more durable than a cow suede.
Were you worried about?
But I did the cow suede just so there was one shoe where people were familiar with the material.
yeah.
I wanted one colorway, the most basic colorway, the black white, the trusted colorway, to be in a material that everyone felt good about. And so that shoe is $5 cheaper than the pig suede, than the pig suede and the synthetic suede.
Yeah. I was just going to say, were you worried about like using, animal products?
I've used animal products on shoes throughout my career. A lot of my signature models when I was vegan were synthetic. But when I started my own shoe brand with Fallen, I wasn't going to make 100% vegan shoe brand. That wasn't the brand ethos. It was like making shoes for skaters of all kinds. And so I kind of went with what are the premium materials now? This is really what this brand is about, is like what premium materials are readily available. And, you know, for the most part, it's full grain,
Right.
which is like a tumbled leather. You know, like if you get a really nice pair of shoes made in Italy or Portugal, they're Italian tumbled leather.
Yep.
And that's kind of, or full grain leather. That's like the creme de la creme, and it's really soft. It feels really nice. A lot of Alfonso Rawls shoes are full grain.
Yeah.
He uses pig suede as well,
Yep.
but full grain is probably what he uses, I think, the most of. And they feel, rightfully so, they're so comfortable and they feel so
Yeah.
nice. It's hard to get a blister with full grain shoes because the leather gives and it's supple. That's the best way to put it.
He sent me a couple pairs of his shoes too.
Mhm.
They're great. So shout out to Alfonso Rawls doing his
Yeah.
thing over there. One of the best skateboarders.
Oh, he's great.
Dude.
Still to
Yeah,
this day.
we have agreed, and I don't know if you saw this, but I did a little commercial for Alf where I do a wear test in his shoes, and I did a little commercial for him to promote his shoes, like in kind of this lead period where before I launched. It was a little confusing. Customers were like, well, "What about your brand?" Or "What about Straye?" It kind of was like, I didn't really think about it. I just thought it'd be cool to do different stuff, which I want to do different stuff, and I'd like to talk about that.
Sure.
Like, I don't ride for this brand. This is my brand.
This could be no Jaimie Thomas Pro model.
I'm going to do a collection at some point, as like I'm doing a collection with Ed Templeton, but I'm not going to have a pro model like in every shoe, and I don't ride for it. I'm trying to back out of like that type of, I don't know what you'd call it. I think signature collections are cool. I think designing shoes is cool. I think doing stuff in being a designer is where I want to go, rather than kind of having weight on me as like a team rider, and because I feel like that puts expectations on my skateboarding that I don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yourself too. I understand the pullback a little bit, you know, and also you're also making room for the next collaboration or the next guy or the Ed Templeton or the Chris Roberts, you know, they're making room. I like that.
I see this more as, you know, a foundational brand project that I can collaborate with everyone. I'm not trying to make it all about me.
Right.
You know, and that for you know, Fallen was a large part about me because that worked. You know, I was in a place in my career where it made sense to base the brand on my career. You know, I was in the peak of my career in 2003. From 2000 to 2003 was probably it for me, and it made sense that I would have 3 pro models out of the gates or whatever, you know.
Sure.
But that's no longer the case. So that's why I wanted to collaborate with someone that I, you know, respect, admire, and have a great relationship with.
Don't get it twisted though, because you could sell shoes. Your name can sell shoes, but they're buying into your name now in Warsaw.
Yeah, I'd prefer it be a brand. I just don't feel like it's healthy to put myself in that situation. I'm even slightly uncomfortable doing the collection for myself on the brand because I want it to be about so much more. So I'm doing it in season 4.
Okay. Oh,
So,
wow. You're
yeah.
already seasoned out. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to plan out the major themes, you know, for season 2, for season 3, and then I will be a theme for season 4. And, you know, we'll get into this, but I'm working on my last video part, and I anticipate that video will come out with that collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, season 4.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, I just want to talk to you about the distribution and all that stuff real quick. You said, like, who will buy these? You are getting into some skate shops, though, right?
Yeah.
We are doing the
Yeah,
skate shop.
Let me. I have a list. I
Oh,
want
you got it?
to tell you guys about them.
Let's get. Oh, you got it?
You see it in there?
He'll grab it. There it is.
Awesome. Thank you.
There it is.
So this is one of those things where I ask myself, what am I willing to do that others aren't willing to do? I am the only Warsaw employee. So I'm designing, you know, I'm coming up with the name. I'm getting feedback from friends and people, my wife, family. And then I'm designing the logo and the text and the look of it. I'm designing the shoes, and, you know, I had to dust a lot of rust off. I haven't done shoes in a really long time. So I had to kind of get back into that groove of making shoe CADs look presentable. And so I started designing the shoes and sending those tech packs to the factory, and then designing the apparel and creating those tech packs. And so I went through a lot of these things by myself, and some of that Some of that is because I'm using my life savings to launch this project.
I was just about to ask a personal question of how much is this launch costing?
This is rough numbers, but I think that I spent probably 50 grand on development.
Just development.
So we're talking about flying overseas, buying samples, kind of the whole development process for a year and a half. And maybe trademarks fit inside there even. Yeah. So trademarks are about 10 to 15K at the level I'm at now.
Doesn't seem like a whole, I mean, I would have guessed way more than 50K.
So I don't have any product and I just have the vision of what it is for 50K.
Okay. We're not even there yet. Okay.
And that's not even time as well. Like if I paid a designer and I paid someone to do all this stuff, it would have been way more than that.
Totally.
So we're all in 150K, 200,000 maybe.
You mean my time as well?
It's hard to factor in time, I guess. I don't know.
I'm saying if I had to pay someone to do what I'm doing, I think we'd be at 200K.
Okay.
So if I didn't have a history in some sort of history in footwear design, some sort of history in branding and logo creation and all of that stuff, I think we'd be at around 200K. But because I did it most of it all myself, and then I worked directly. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Please, no.
I worked directly with a trademark attorney. You know, I probably spent 5K on searches for the different name options, maybe 3K on searches.
LegalZoom would have been great, by the way. We did,
Okay. At a level where you really want to make sure that a name is clear, you got to go more than LegalZoom.
My bad.
That's all right.
Okay.
And then the trademarks themselves, that price has gone up. And usually how that works is you have a U.S. trademark attorney, and then they contract out the work to Europe and to other trademark attorneys that are specialized in those different
around the world,
those different regions.
Right.
So I trademarked in all the the popular regions with the logo, the trademark, with the word mark and the lockup. So I did all that, and then traveling, and then buying just buying shoes and clothes. That is a lot of money, just because I didn't really know what I wanted everything to look like, and I needed to touch and see and try everything.
R&D.
So, R&D.
I appreciate you being transparent like that, because I think it's important for, as a skateboarding community to know like how all in you are, and like that makes me want to support you even more. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Like 100%. Like I'm going to buy these because they come with a bag. Okay.
Well, how much is the whole container now with all the things you bought?
So a container is about $100,000, maybe a little less, because probably $100,000 around there.
200.
Yeah, around there. Oh, you were going with all in buying the shoes and everything.
All in everything.
Apparel is about 20K. So 120 for the product that launches maybe more than that. 125. Yeah, 125K. Is what launches us in a couple of weeks on product alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had a mini ramp at zero. We sold the mini ramp. We bought racking, and then the racking is holding that. So there's some resourcewulness going on here.
Resourcefulness.
Okay.
Is key.
Okay. And we're talking about the skate shops.
Yeah. And so what I was getting to in this whole, where I started off is that I wanted to call and sell the brand into every store to the owners, so there wouldn't be a middleman trying to take my vision and describe it to a sales rep, whether that be to a sales rep as a marketing. A lot of times people will start a brand, they'll hire a sales director, a sales manager, a designer, these different people that are going to do these different jobs, which is what Angel did. And it makes sense. I've chosen to do these things myself. So, that's why my skate shop list is so short, because I'm calling every store, and it takes about 5 to 10 times of interaction to get someone on the phone. And
really, even Jaimie Thomas on the phone.
People are not used to talking on the phone. I've discovered now.
Yeah.
They are not. Okay. They will text you. They will say, "Send me an email." And it's all respect and it's all love, but people are not used to just hopping on a call.
Crazy.
I like that personal touch, but I think that for me, because it's just the old school way.
It is so old school.
I love that still.
Oh, I'd rather hop on a call any day of the week.
Yeah. So my 5 friends that run shops, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So I started with them.
For sure.
And I also got feedback, Lee at Plus, Dan at Escapist, Dave at Blue Tile. These guys gave me feedback of, I entertain the idea of, rather than pre-booking this brand, because I don't have a sales manager following up on the pre-books, I entertain the idea of buying it blind and putting together packages and then calling the stores and just offering this small package, which what I feel is the minimal amount of product that you can take and have a good showing of the brand if I'm going to go advertise that you're one of the retail partners.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I basically put together a package, and then we did tweaks to that package, and when it was supposed to come out in the summer, there was a few more white shoes in that package, but then when it got pushed to holiday, I took out the slip-on and the low out of the package because it's launching in October, and a lot of places kind of get a little wet or muddy or whatever. So anyway, there's been some revisions to the package, but it's about a $3,000 buy for each of these stores. And so I'm calling them, really it's me sharing the vision of what I'm doing with the brand. And then eventually walking them through the line. We made a website. And so my friend Arto and I made a website, and I basically send them a private link to the site, and then I'm walking them through the site, and here's the site.
Yeah, we got
That Danny Garcia?
That's Danny Garcia.
What?
So I didn't really get to that.
Barron.
I didn't really get to that yet. Look at this 3-flip. Oh,
He is so good.
he's so good. It's Danny Garcia, Austin Stevens, and then my friend Matt Costa. He's a musician.
Oh,
He's a
yeah. Matt
musician.
Costa.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Matt Costa's from back in the day.
Yeah. So this is kind of the look I'm going for. It has a little bit more of a, kind of a lifestyle vibe, not a course skate vibe, but you can kind of see it. Danny's a great model, good dude.
Great dude.
So instead of having a team, and I didn't really get into it, but the target demographic for this brand is like 27 to 55. That's like the target demographic. If some kids are into it, cool. If some OGs past 55 are into it, cool. But that's really, and if I really try to narrow in on what I thought the average customer would be, I'd probably say late 30s, 40. And it would be like my fan 10 years junior, or someone that came up in that era of skateboarding. So my concept is to work with stylish, really cool skateboarders that don't have footwear deals, that have moved on to different aspects of their life, work with them to create these campaigns.
Right.
And so I am holding down the older demographic of this campaign. Danny and Matt are around the same age, and also they cross paths in the music world.
Yep.
Matt was a great skater, early 2000s, had a really gnarly leg break and a pretty gnarly injury, and he and Danny lived together and learned to play music together and kind of started their musical careers, near and by each other. And so Matt and I have become really good friends. He makes a lot of music for Zero videos. He pretty much rides for Zero now in this, and in some capacity. And I make him custom boards. And he also does stuff for Rourke, which is my apparel sponsor. I ride for Rourke throughout the end of this year. And at any rate, he works with them, and I've got to travel with Matt quite a bit. But handsome, great dude. So that's kind of the theme of what I'm shooting for. And Austin Stevens has also been a part of the shoot. So when we go through the apparel, we'll see Austin being a model as well. But you can click on footwear if you want. We can give them we'll come back to shops.
Okay.
So you got the mids at the top. There's some thought throughout all this. You have your staple colorway on the far left, which is the black white premium suede. And then you have the white pig suede, and then the black synthetic suede. And that's the Ed Templeton collab. And you can see the prices there.
Yeah.
So the black white mid top's 105, the pig suede's 110, and then the Ed Templeton's 110. And the Ed Templeton's a little bit more because I'm giving him a large royalty, as well as it's made with a premium synthetic suede.
Amazing. You want to support Ed?
Yeah. Then you go down the next.
Go buy his shoe.
In the next round, there's only 2 colorways and the chapter low, which is the black white and the white, and then in the Ed Templeton signature package, I did the slip-on, which is called the Stranger, and there's 3 slip-on colorways. And so if you kind of go to the top, if you scroll back up to the top real quick, you got black, then the white, or like the cement color.
Yep.
And then you got the black, and you go down to the next level, same.
Yep.
Then you go down to the bottom, and it's the same without the one on the end.
Right.
So you kind of get this consistency and continuity, all these little things I care about. I don't know that anyone else cares, but I feel like when you see it, it feels good.
Yeah, I love that because I'm not a black fan. I'm a black and white, you know, and then I'm also a white fan. So like, you kind of have appealed to everybody.
I feel like
in one go.
That's
right?
the goal, is to have that balance, and then to have a vegan shoe in the line, and then to have a specialty material shoe in the line, and then to have a trusted material in the line.
Yeah,
I feel like I think Don mentioned this, but like on website stuff, when we talk about things on meetings, it's like, oh, the first thing search is vegan. When people come into the website, they're always looking for vegan.
Yeah. So I'm really trying to have a vegan shoe, not because of that search, just because I feel like brands that are conscious and that care about their customer base, I feel like they should have one. My personal diet is I'm vegan with fish. That's what works for my body after years of testing. And I feel great on that diet. But I really like synthetic suede shoes if they're done well, you know, and I'm trying to do that as well as I possibly can. But if you scroll up to the top, you can see apparel, if you don't mind clicking on that real quick. But you see the same thing mirrored. So you have the all black on the left. You don't have black white, but you have, because I don't really want to do a lot of contrasted logos much. I'm trying to keep it a bit more subtle.
Is nice.
Yeah, so you have a black, and these fleece is we created it, or I created it. It's French terry, 100% cotton, really nice high quality fleece, got kind of a suede touch to it, feels really soft. It's a little bit oversized, so when you wash it, it lands at like a true large. And if you don't do that, if you don't oversize French terry and it's 100% cotton, it will shrink up on you. So I'm encouraging people to tumble dry these just so they don't, lose their oversize if they want it. Okay. But it's just a black with satin stitch embroidery, tonal on the black and on the cement, and then the Templeton is the same. And that's the same thing. It's an embroidered front. There's this little small contrasted logo on the sleeve to kind of match. And then there's a crew neck, which is just a left chest embroidery, and then cement, and then the Ed Templeton. If you click on the Ed crew neck, it's offered in black, white, and then black gray. And that has I have one here. It has like a puff ink with a suede touch on the ink. It looks really nice. And then I put pockets on the side seams of the crew neck, which
that's nice.
Yeah, you don't see that.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice. This guy's thought of everything, Kelly.
I'm trying to think of all the small things.
It's fabulous.
I'm just hyped you got Danny Garcia involved with this.
D-Gar.
And he was so cool to work with. He hadn't skated in quite a while, he admitted, and he didn't have a board, and I was going to bring him one, and then he found one. Had kind of yellow wheels, and we played a game of skate, and it was to my treat.
Who won?
I don't remember who won.
Oh, Jaimie.
But everything he did still just looked great. He did a switchback 180 that was just so nice.
Wow.
Everything he did was so good. And, just to have a 3-flip of him, there's going to be a photo, in the campaign and, on the website. But those are we're trying to make those visual lookbooks, and have a crew of OGs each shoot, go that people that I've enjoyed working with over the years or always admired or that fit the look of the brand.
What's funny too is I always hear these skate companies or shoe brands, we need to target the young kids. Yeah. And it's rad to hear that you're just no, we're targeting this older demographic. Which is, to me, that's pretty awesome.
I feel like it's more predictable.
Yeah,
the kids change so fast. You don't know. They like you today and they'll throw you away tomorrow.
How do you design something for kids when you're not a kid?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that. And we'll get back to that. But, for Zero, Dane and our TM Kurt are about 10 years younger than me. And they've started really giving a lot of input on Zero because that demographic is a little bit younger. I mean, it is older for a skateboard demographic. We're not selling to 12-year-olds so much with a bunch of skulls, but it's still, it is a younger demographic. And I feel like I'm being aged out of it. And so, this is a good segue into, me being very excited about this next phase of my brand building process because this brand suits where I am and I'm very comfortable in it. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, a part of me and I can share that part. And, again, we're just building the foundation for it all. Or I'm building the foundation for it all, which is just the starting point, the jump off, as it were. Mm-hmm. I made a chino, which I'm really, really hyped on.
You have them here. I need a pair. I need a whole.
We got you. I got you.
Kit.
I got
I'm
you.
telling you, Jaimie. Look, I want to look just like this person right here.
All right.
You? Oh my God.
Yeah. So I made it's a relaxed fit, semi-straight leg, close to a straight leg, but not totally straight. And they fit really well. Says 100% cotton. I need to fix that. I had to. I am the one employee, and I did all of the descriptions for all of the stuff. And this is the beta of the site, but so I'm seeing mistakes.
This isn't live right now.
It's not live.
Okay.
Yeah, it's password.
Right.
So this is just for me to show the line to people, but it says 100% cotton, and they have like 2%.
Is this a custom website or is it like a Shopify?
It's Shopify, built on a Shopify,
standard
framework.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, and
Like there was already a template for it?
No,
you customized it?
Yeah, I mentioned my friend Arto from Toronto. He built the site, but they give you the framework and then you can customize it, and he has the skills to customize it. But if you go back up to the top, this is something I really want to do. Like I've loved, creating limited edition skateboard stuff with Zero, and then I have my collection business, Garage Days collection, and I really wanted to do limited edition skateboards for wall art for each of the different collaborations that we do. Sick. And the fact that I have Zero and we have that relationship with BBS, and I love making stuff and incorporating the designs across all mediums, and I really like skateboard art. So these boards come signed. They're only available on the website because I was at a certain point I couldn't expect the shops to buy one of everything.
Right.
So, and it's not pre-bookable right now. In future seasons it will be. I'm probably going to do a package for season 1 and season 2, and then if I have proof of concept by then, I'll hire a sales guy. Because it's hard, man. It's hard when we get back to these shops.
Bro. Shit.
I made a little ring, and I'll tell you the significance of that ring.
Okay.
Those are the chain links that connect each era of skateboarding and all skateboarders. So it's kind of like there's this unity vibe that I'm going through here, and I feel like I am on a nostalgic play, and I say that because I'm doing collaborations with the pioneers of skateboarding that have either influenced me or influenced skateboarding in a major way. And I want to tell their stories, even in a small way, just a glimpse of who they are. I'm not trying to make full life documentaries, but the part of them that I find fascinating, I'm going in and asking them, and we're making a little bit of a story about it. So that unity ring is that chain link, and that's going to be like, how a lot of brands have an emoji, like the Zero emoji is the little skull. The emoji will be the 2 chains.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like working some things in there, and I just think having a sterling silver ring, I have that ring on right now. I think having a sterling silver ring out of the gates, I think like all these little pieces, and even if you go back up to the top, the boards are doing the same things the shoes did and the same things the hoodies did.
It's the vibe across the board.
Yeah. It's tying everything together.
Yeah, I'm
just
working
like
on
the
it.
dude's rug.
I see that these are out of sync though. That hat should be silver. Should be gray in the middle. But
we got to do you want to change it right now?
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
I can live through it.
But you're rocking the corduroy hats though.
Yeah, they're good. I've been wearing a lot of corduroy hats. Oh, I have some here too.
Yeah, look at that beanie. Yeah, no, I love it, dude. I love it. I think
here's the.
I like corduroy hats.
That's it.
And they're
right now.
unstructured and strap backs. Some of these things I didn't get. Like hats and beanies, I didn't get manufactured for this drop, so I had to have them made sourced locally on blanks. But these
are good though.
Yeah, it was primarily only these. For most part, I custom made everything, like the chinos and the fleece and all that. So, and that was a tedious process, but I learned so much. Like in the last year, I've learned so much about. And that's another reason why I wanted to do all the different positions from the beginning, so I would be able to speak to and know the language of each different area of the business. Once I start hiring people to take over on these different, parts of the business, I then will be refreshed in, apparel design and fleece and materials and. So
when they are speaking to you about anything, you'll be like, okay, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, or I'll be able to tell them what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to do, and what I want to make, and why I want to make it, and who I think's doing it well, and where the inspiration's coming from. And I think that's another big reason why it makes sense if we get back to the shops. Why it makes sense for me to be calling the shops, because I can directly, communicate what it is that I'm trying to do. Because I think that I got to pull out all the stops to get the shoes in shops. Like if you call a shop right now and go, how's it going? They're like, it's pretty grim.
Right.
You know, it's like we've been selling the same things over and over and over in a bunch of different colorways for a while, and it's starting to not really work anymore.
Or let's just be honest though, if I get a call from Jaimie Thomas and I'm a skate shop owner, I'd rather actually hear how you're trying to develop this brand versus the sales guy. You know what I mean? Because it's more personal to you. I respect that a lot more, to be honest.
I totally appreciate that, and I wish that was the sentiment across the board. Right. And I'm not saying that people don't want to hear from me, but them having to get on a call and them getting texts from me like every 3 days until they get on a call, it can be a rub. You know, right. It can be a little bit of a nuisance because, you know, they could be having something going on with their kids or who knows? They could be having a shop employee crisis. There could be whatever.
That's not the normal approach, obviously.
It's not, and a lot of times it's through an email, and then the sales, you know, person's job is to follow up until they get confirmation that the email's been received and the line's been looked at, and they're willing to place an order. Also, what you have generally in that is that there's already demand for the product, and if they don't order it, they're kind of blowing it. Right. They already exist, and their shop is already doing fine with or without me, and so they don't necessarily need me. Right. And so what I'm really trying to do is just get them on the phone so I can share with them that I may be doing something that may bring in some new life into their shop, or some new customers, or that I'm actually going to do my job and come and give an in-depth, explanation of what I'm trying to work on places like this, where I don't know if this has been done, where someone's launched a brand and kind of went and told everybody about the brand before the brand launched. Maybe, but I feel like that's one other thing that I need to do that other people haven't or aren't doing regularly.
I respect it. I think it's a great touch, to be honest, like especially with something that you care so much about, and to go hand feed them, so to say. Be like, this is what it is, and this is what I plan on doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Whether they get it or not, you know what I mean?
Well, they're probably like, "Oh, Jaimie Thomas is calling me for another skate shoe brand. I don't need another thing." Be like, "No, listen up."
No, there's a lot of people that, I mean, probably most are where Kelly's at, and the best compliment that I think I've gotten is, "Hey, man, I took this call out of respect, but I really love what you're doing, and I want to bring it in the shop." That's the best thing that anyone could told me, and about 7 to 10 of the shops that I called told me that. And so it was like, they didn't know they would want it. And some people are almost fine to not see it because they can't deal with it now. A few shops and owners that I'm close to just said, we can't take it in right now. We're going to have to pass on the first drop, and please keep us in mind for future drops. And for me, if they're good enough of a shop, I'm definitely not calling anybody else in the area. You know what I mean? Like, that zone is just on hold until they're ready. Yeah. And I'm not really in a hurry for this thing. I obviously, it would be great if a certain amount of the shoes sold, so then I could place the second production without having to go dip into savings again. But I know that some of it will sell, and it will work. And, I'm getting line of credit and those things, kind of the backup plan. So it's not just all my cash all the way through. I'm working on getting all those things lined up as I get proof of concept. But at the same time, I'm totally fine. I say I'm totally fine. I've made it to the point that I'm willing to take the risk and that I'm willing to make the investment, because I believe in what I'm doing, and the feedback that I've gotten from the people that I have been able to connect with is, I think you're onto something here, and I might not have lightning in a bottle like Circa was when, Chad and I started it. But I think there is something for me to build on, and I may not nail it, and one of the colorways or one of the shoes might not work at all, but all I can do is just, continue to put my best foot forward in all these different categories, and try and just think of everything that I can and get as much feedback as I can, and make those adjustments and make those tweaks and get it to market, and then just make adjustments from there,
And how many shops are we opening up?
The goal is 25 in the US and 5 in the UK.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we're shipping next week. So we're at about, it looks like 16 or 17 in the US and 2 in the UK. So there's 3 more shops to confirm in the UK. And I have to, because I am the single person doing all these different things. Right now, my primary focus is the launch. We have a launch in 9 days, and I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row for that launch and to make sure that everything is there.
For people that's listening on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, what is the launch date?
The launch date is Friday, October 11th.
October 11th. And are they going to be available in those shops as well on October 11th?
So October 11th is just a launch event. It's a single day launch event. That's also my 50th birthday.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
happy birthday.
Yeah. So I don't know that I had a 30th birthday party. I don't know that I've had many birthday parties in my adult life. And this is a big
lot of candles, man. A lot of candles.
This is a big milestone for me, and I wanted to celebrate in some way, but I didn't really want it to be all about me. But I put a lot of work into this, and I thought the timing of it just lined up well for it to launch, and it happens to be a Friday, just to launch on my birthday, and then I can invite people to come celebrate my 50th birthday as well as the launching of this brand.
Amazing.
So friends and family could come for the birthday. It's a twofer. It's a twofer.
It's a twofer. And then when are they launching in shops?
The following Friday.
Okay, so
the 18th.
The 18th. And do we want to tell them which shops? Because in case somebody's listening right now and they're in the area.
I would love to. So we're starting in California. There's a few shops in California, and then we're kind of working our way east.
Okay.
Pawn Shop, West Covina, the Piscopo's
Shout
shop.
out to the Piscopos.
Yeah, they're dope. Kingswell.
Oh, yeah.
Big shout
LA.
out to them as well.
DJ and Melch.
Yep.
Port and Long Beach. This is a boutique. It's not a skate store. And so this would be a great time to segue into that, and I'll get back to the shops. I see that the growth for this brand is going to be in menswear boutiques. And I say that because it's not a core skate footwear brand, but is a skate inspired footwear brand. And I'll continue to use skateboarding, music, and art as the driving creative force of the brand. But I think that it can totally live in that menswear boutique space because the target demographic, I feel like it fits really well there, and I don't have to do a lot of extra work to prepare the brand for that space because that's the type of products that I'm into and I'm personally passionate about at this point in my life. So I'm, back in the day when I launched Fallen, the mission statement is it's only sold where pro skateboards are sold. So that means I couldn't be in a PacSun back then. Because that mission statement kept me out of PacSun.
Okay.
It was a core skate brand. From day one, I put that flag in the sand and was like, we're not going into any lifestyle stores. This is a core skate brand, and that's what it is. This is a skate-inspired lifestyle brand because that's the phase of life I'm in. I still skate, but I feel like I'm more about the culture than I am about just, how many days a week I ride my skateboard.
Got you.
I'm immersed in the culture. But I'm not immersed in riding my skateboard any longer. I still skate,
right? But
it's not the only thing I do. And I'm just, really focused and excited about this phase of my growth. So the port, and that's where the launch event is at. And there's two reasons for that. One is it's centrally located between San Diego. It's a little bit more towards LA, but I wanted people to be able to go from each, and no one really wants to go from San Diego to LA on a Friday, and no one wants to go to LA to San Diego on a Friday.
I would skip that.
But getting to Long Beach, you could,
it's reasonable.
You could go an hour early and get dinner, and then go to the event after. That's kind of my thought process. Also, the port. There's a little bit of a commitment that this is not a core skate brand. And I want to be very transparent about that out of the gates. And then when I read the skate shops, a lot of these are core skate shops, but a lot of them also double as boutiques.
Okay.
They're the nicer skate shops, most of them. So it will be available at the port. And for the most part, the port only carries their own brand. So, Warsaw will be one of, just kind of a few brands that they have stocked. But for the event, we're just setting up a full Warsaw pop-up shop.
Okay.
So putting art on the walls, and Ed Templeton painted on, some stuff, and it's going to be cool.
Okay.
I'm also bringing some of my toy machine boards too, digging them out of the...
Really?
Yeah, digging them out of the pallets and hanging those on the wall. So.
Wow.
It's a little bit of a celebration of, I'm 50, and I just feel like kind of like some of the milestones in my career, and the fact that Ed and I are doing something together. So super excited about that. And then moving to Phoenix, Arizona, Cowtown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those guys are great. Shane and Trent there. And this is another boutique in Salt Lake City, Stockist.
Okay.
I've visited Salt Lake quite a bit. My son went to school there, and we've been back and forth to Salt Lake for a while. And I really love this this boutique called The Stockist. It's on 9th and 9th, and it's just like prime location. Helen, the owner, is really cool, and my friend Josh, has a workspace inside there. So I'm excited about that to be in. These are the only two boutiques for the launch.
Gotcha.
That are lined up. 303 in Denver.
Denver, yeah. 303.
Sam. Escapist, Kansas City.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, talked about Dan earlier. Yep. Subsect in Des Moines.
I was just there.
Yeah,
I was just there hanging out with Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin rules.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great shop.
Great dude.
Keith Kirchard owns the building.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Just FYI.
Versed, which is a fairly new shop in Indianapolis, Indiana. Aaron is kind of holding down the scene. Buddy Best was an Indianapolis legend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Aaron's kind of holding down the scene there now, and I'm excited to work with him. He's super passionate about what he's doing. He has a podcast inside the store. Huge community builder, does skate camps, does all sorts of stuff. Really cool. Theory.
Oh, yeah, Theory.
Yeah, Holyoke, Mass. Dan.
Okay.
And we did a guest board with Scott Stevens, pro snowboarder, and that is his home shop too.
Oh, wow.
And so we put a Theory logo on Scott Stevens' guest model. It was like a skated board. Anyway, so I got to connect with the Theory guys when we did that.
Right.
Kinetic.
Oh yeah.
Wilmington, Delaware. So now we went over to the Northeast, and we're kind of working our way down. Ben at Kinetic. Venue, Richmond, Virginia. Gilbert Crockett's home shop. Yeah, which used to be Dominion. Kim and Mari Blankenship. Black Sheep, Charlotte, North Carolina. Josh.
They've been around forever.
Yeah, totally. Doing a great job. He's our age, Josh is. I guess I'm a little older than you. Sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, a lot older. A lot older. Crazy.
Blue Tile, Columbia, South Carolina.
There you go,
Dave. Faith at Peter, Birmingham. And then Plus Skate Shop in Fort Walton Beach.
Okay, Plus, yeah.
That's my home shop. I lived in Alabama about 2 hours away, and we didn't have a home shop, so Plus was it.
Wow.
And they have one in Orlando too, but we're just selling in the Fort Walton Beach store. I think they may have one of the biggest shoe walls in the whole country.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So is that the end of
that's the end of the U.S. list, and UK? I have two in the U.K. Yeah, Note in Manchester.
Oh yeah, no.
Paul at Note, and then 42 in Nottingham.
There you go,
Rob. So
beautiful.
That is almost 20. So I'm almost there.
So
I have some more calls to make.
So if you're in the area and you want to go support, go to one of these skate shops on the 18th.
Yeah. So this is doing the 11th is just a launch event. It's a one night only. The products come out of the port and then they come back in. They'll be available for sale in the port with the rest of these stores on the 18th. And in the UK is the following Friday, which I don't know the date of that, but yeah, it's launching a week later just because it's taken a little longer to get the shoes there.
Sure.
All the shoes, is this going to be a full size run in all the shoes but the white ones?
No. So I didn't ship the white slip-on and the white low to the stores. So the package, and that's a really important thing. I mean, really great you asked. The packages are only 6 pairs of black white in each style. So it's a 9, a 9.5, a 10, a 10.5, 11, and a 12. Oh, wow. And so my reasoning for this is that I'm only asking the stores to take the best-selling sizes out of the gates. We'll use the website, which goes up, 3. So the in-store launch date is the 18th. The website goes live on the 21st. So I'm not competing with the launch in the stores. And then the website will just tell you where to get it with links to all of their stores.
Gotcha.
And then they can put it online that following Monday as well. So no one's online for the first weekend, just in case there is a little bit of a buzz about it. And there's only 6 pairs of each shoes going to them. The Ed Templeton, though, we did 10 of each. So we doubled up on the best-selling sizes in the Ed Templeton slip-on and the mid, because it kind of seems like that one's kind of the more exciting one. It has a logo and I don't know, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the way it worked. So if you wear a 10.5 and you like the white mid, there's only gonna be 1 pair in your local shop.
Better go running.
Actually, this is hey, do these fit true to size?
They fit true to size.
Okay. That's something important because, you get a pair of Converse, you wear a size 9, they're like huge.
Oh, that's an outlier though. I mean, their sizing is crazy.
Vans even too. The Vans Pros, they basically have the Vans Last, And then when you add an insole, you lose some space in your shoe.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you add a protective layer under the suede, you lose some space on the top. And then now a size 10 has smashed you into a 9 3/4.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if your big toenail starts to grow a little bit longer.
Exactly. If your toenails are long or you wear thick socks,
Right.
you're actually right on those two things. Those are quarter size changers right
Totally.
there. Toenails can be a quarter size, thick socks can be a quarter size.
Every
So
quarter size
if you wear Vans and you've worn Vans forever and they're changing manufacturers, or the Vans Pros fit a quarter size smaller than their regular shoes, then you have to account for that. So our shoe would be the Vans in size 10 without the scrunching, without the encroaching of the insole.
Well, this is also goes to people like if they go to your website,
they got to order
and they go, oh, I want these shoes, but I don't know how they fit. You know what I mean? And that's like a really annoying to order a pair of shoes and you get them and they're too
What
too
it will
small.
say is that this fits true to size.
Okay, good.
You will have somebody that says they don't fit them, but for the most part, I haven't had any issues, and I put time into that. I mean, what you're talking about is a real issue, and the insole being high quality is a real issue. I see these things as real issues.
Oh, yeah.
And I've ridden for brands before where they didn't care about the sizing so much, and you got a lot of complaints, and you got people hitting me up or whatever, just talking about sizing being this or that, or how does it fit. And so I really tried to, look at all the standards in the industry and find the commonalities in the exact distance within millimeters, and then try and find that through line to make sure that I can say it fits true to size.
Yeah, for sure.
And all I can tell them is I did as much homework as I could.
Yeah.
And then the apparel fits a little bit oversized. And if you wash it on hot and dry it on hot, you'll get it a little more true to size. But if you kind of take care of it or tumble dry it or whatever, it'll be a little bit oversized. So like a large would be between a large and an extra large. And I think that's the look that I'm going for the brand, is slightly oversized. So it's not like baggy and ridiculous, but I feel like if you see the photos of me wearing it, I'm wearing a large, and I'm wearing 34 chinos.
Okay, cool.
But I went on a diet after that.
Did you try to get down to a 33 or 30,
I'm 32.
32? Okay.
Yeah, 32.
That's me. I'm 32.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm real excited to work with these shops.
Amazing.
And super grateful that they said yes. I mean, because this is a yes and no answer. It's like, hey, and a couple shops were like, hey, we can't really take apparel. And I'm like, I totally get it. Inside this, what I'm looking for right now is not just retailers to sell our stuff, it's partners. And my goal is to try and put together a package that shows the breadth of the brand well in your store. And if someone comes in the day of, they get an understanding for what I'm trying to do. And that's the type of partners I'm looking for. And so all these people were like, I get it. It helped. At first I was trying to launch in the summer, at the end of summer, and I'm trying to sell hoodies as a mandatory package to Phoenix.
Right.
And Trent was like, dude, we can, in Florida, like plus, he's like, we cannot sell a hoodie in August.
Right.
You're tripping.
Yeah.
And he goes, but 2 months later, October, we could sell a hoodie to Alabama in October.
I love that you use the term partner. Because I feel like it's not a partnership a lot of the times. It's just trying to sell product and push, and you wanting to be a partner, form a partnership, a relationship, I think that's huge. I mean, especially nowadays with the skate shops.
Yeah. And I think the starting of that is me calling them and giving them my undivided attention as far as like a pitch, and then getting feedback, of what do they think, and Trent at Cowtown, him and Shane, we got on a call and he's like, hey, can you call at this time? And they had 4 people on the call and they were firing questions at me, and it was great. It was so good. And some of their questions, and they're real, because I said, hey, to be transparent, the growth opportunity I see for this brand is in more of the lifestyle space, and that is in menswear boutiques and potentially high-end retail at some place. And they were talking about product segmentation, making sure that if that does work and I do go that route, how am I going to take care of skate shops? How am I going to make sure that they have all the tools that they need in order to continue selling? Because they are the partners that are helping me launch the project. And totally respect that. And I love that they're vying for that. And they're like, what about a give back program? How are the different ways? How do you plan to give back? And I was like, bro, this is year 5 I'm talking about. You guys already, and I was just like thanking them for believing in me to getting to the point where my brand might be in Neiman Marcus. You know what I mean? Like I was tripping that they could conceptualize that and see it possible.
Yeah.
And it was the first person that had ever, he said, yeah, well, when you do make it to high-end retail, what is going to be your approach to skate shops at that point?
Well, that's a big question.
It's a huge question, but I still thought it's never been done. No one's ever made it to high-end retail out of skate besides
You
like
hadn't forecast that just
something
yet.
Supreme or Stussy or
Crew,
someone.
maybe. Or not Crew.
Is it York?
Zoo York, Roger said. Maybe, but
Supra.
not at a high level. Supra a bit.
Supra,
Yeah,
yeah,
a bit.
that's
But
what I meant.
anyway, you know, I said, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. But yeah, I appreciate the questions.
I think that you, out of anybody in this industry trying to get into, you know, a different, you know, transcend the skateboarding world, will make it work in skateboarding too. Like you will not just turn your back and be
Yeah,
like,
if you
oh,
don't forget-
later, peace.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, really what I said to him is that, look, you know, the commitment of storytelling and product and thoughtfulness that I'm doing with the shops right now, I intend to continue because this is the brand ethos. You know, this comes from skate. Like I am a skateboarder and I am dabbling in design and, you know, I mean, Ellington is way further into fashion than I'm even dabbling, you know. I'm like, I'm just like one pinky toe out of skating with this project.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's making high fashion stuff. And I have so much respect and admiration for his willingness to go that far out because I'm feeling like it's a cold day out there and I don't have any clothes on, you know what I mean? and here I feel like I'm pretty comfortable in this space and I want to gradually grow into the lifestyle boutique space. We're talking a couple of stores each delivery. But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to have it in every shop. You know, I want to have retail partners that make sense, that have a customer that's coming in regularly and is willing to buy a $110 pair of shoes. You know, if you don't have the customers for it, like let's just say you got a skate park in the back and you got a core skate shop, you got helmets on the walls, you know, you got all the stuff that a core skate shop does and that's where the zero demo goes.
Right.
But that might not be the place for the $110 white pig suede pair of shoes that's going to get grimy Cheeto hands on them. You know what I mean?
For sure. By
So-
that point, you're just taking advantage of that shop.
Well, not even taking advantage. They're not selling. No one's coming
That's what
in.
I'm saying.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
It's like you're going after that
Yeah.
and you're like, well,
But
let me
to be
just
honest,
sell some shoes.
Yeah,
you know?
they see the disconnect.
No,
Yeah,
They're like,
for
we
sure.
don't got a customer that's coming in asking for
Exactly.
shoes over $100
Right,
bucks.
right.
So, yeah, that's and in lots of ways that is, you know, kind of picking the partners.
Right.
It's basically high-end skate shops and, you know, and there's a few that kind of like dabble into that high-end skate shop and still hold down the core for it, like a Plus or a Blue Tile or an Escapist, you know. You know, a lot of those stores, but if you can see the vision and you can, you know, see what I'm doing. So I just want to keep doing that, you know, and I really am excited about storytelling for season 2. I've lined up a collaboration with Bryce Knights.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Great,
Sick.
great
Wow.
photographer.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
Yeah,
That's good.
he shot my first photo in Thrasher, and I'm super excited to connect with him. He did a long-haired suede gray mid-top, and it's got like the classic BK initials in the back, and then we're doing a clear sole with some of his photos on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah.
We try to get him on the show, man. Tell him, put in a good word for us.
Yeah. He's awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude,
All right.
it's interesting though, like is it not bother you, but you have this no brand recognition really on the like side of the shoe or anything?
It doesn't bother me at all because what I'm really trying to do is an understated brand. And I feel like if you're going to wear shoes to work or to church or to a wedding or to a funeral, I feel like that, or to out to eat or dinner or something, I just don't think that the big logo thing works for that demographic and that purpose. And so that's what I'm making shoes for. And then you can skate in them and they're made for skating, but I'm trying to make nice enough shoes that you want to wear them in a casual lifestyle setting. So that's why the logos are so understated. And I didn't kind of get into this earlier, but I'll speak about it now just so we're talking about the minor aesthetics. I put an X on the quarter panel on the side of it, and it's just a small detail stitch, but it's kind of also an anti-corporate logo is not there.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I see what you're saying. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it adds some ornamental detail, and I have nothing against corporate anything. You know, you do make whatever they make the best shoes. I hear, New Balance is the number one shoe brand in skateboarding. And, I was around in the beginning of that, and more power to them. I wish them all the best. Nike, Adidas, they all make great shoes. They have great teams. All that stuff's awesome. But I'm just trying to make something different. And so the understated is as far away as I can get from the sporting goods companies, the more I can stand out. Mm-hmm. And so not having any brand recognition on the side is a part of that kind of directionality, if you will.
I like it, dude. That's
cool.
No,
I like that.
I couldn't believe, if I was a little kid one day, Jaimie Thomas was going to be on a talk show with us, tell me that New Balance is one of the best skate shoes in the world.
It's a trip.
It's crazy to see where everything's gone.
Yeah. They make good product, and they got an amazing team, and that is it in the core skate world. So luckily, I'm not going into the core skate world.
I mean, I'm looking forward to skating in these. I'm stoked.
They skate great.
But so never say never. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not doing a team. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm focused on.
You said Dubs.
No, sorry. Sorry.
When you what?
Is that?
No, Dubs.
Flow.
Did you hear?
Flow, dude.
Flow.
He got you.
He got you.
Well, listen.
But the cool thing is, dude, you're creating a vibe, obviously with the shoes, but the clothing, it all matches. In that website, it all makes sense.
Cohesive.
I appreciate that. My son told me I was crazy. He's 20 and he was going to design, or he's into design, and he's like, Dad, why are you doing apparel? You're just torturing yourself. You're because I'm telling him this is my 5th hoodie sample. You know what I mean? And he's just like, this is madness. Why don't you just do shoes for the launch and then do apparel the second time?
You wanted to create a vibe.
Yeah. No, I said, I don't think if you launch with shoes, you'll ever be taken serious as an apparel company. And so for me, I want to be a footwear and apparel brand. And so I feel like coming out with that out of the gates and having a look and it be a cohesive look. And I also told him hey man, the shoes, the designs they're not rocket science. They're classic silhouettes. And if you just went to a website and it had 4 shoes that looked this simple, you'd be gone in a few seconds. Mm-hmm. So, I'm really trying to round it out. And, we talked about this a little bit before we started on the show. For me to develop just these shoes, I went and got all my favorite shoes and then took pieces from all these shoes, like the vulcanized tape height of this one. This is my favorite insole. I have this pair of dress shoes that have this, liner on the insole. And I really tried to put all those pieces together and then find a silhouette that I feel like is timeless, that I could just use as a foundation and build on. Mm. And, my goal each season is sometimes I'll add toe caps to certain styles. I have a cup sole shoe coming out in season 3, and that shoe will be available out of the gates in a toe cap style and without a toe cap style right away, first off. And so I really want to just kind of not have a lot of rules around it all. And I want to make canvas stuff, and I want to make a hiking sneaker, and then I have all these different directions. And this is something also I've gotten more into fitness as I've gotten older, and I want to stay in shape, and I want to continue to be able to skate. I take identity in being in great shape, and I have to work out in order to stay in great shape because I'm no longer skating enough to do that. And so I'm starting some athletics stuff in season 3, making shorts, towels, shirts, kind of like athletic apparel that you actually wear to the gym.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so I'm working on that, and then I feel like collabing in those realms. There's so many different people, skaters that are into that, or other people that are into that. So many. Yeah, so I don't think anybody's as shredded as Stevie or Neen.
Dude,
but
Stevie's gnarly, right? And Neen, obviously, but
yeah. I'm saying Stevie works out now as much as he did when he skated the most in his life. He works out that much a day.
Every day.
Yeah, I'm saying, though, it's 4 hours or something. I feel like
he's a beast, dude.
I feel like to be that. It's inspiration, pure inspiration.
For sure. We got to keep in shape, especially if we're doing one-man demos at each of these shops that we're going to,
That is funny that you bring that up. I am visiting every store, well, maybe not the UK in the fall, but I'm visiting every store that I sign up before the end of the year.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's not going to be a skateboard demo, though, but I am trying to do kind of what we're doing now with the store owner. Do a little podcast for a YouTube or something, and have a little Q&A and have the audience ask questions. Okay, yeah. Maybe play a game of skate with dudes over 40. So I know I have a good chance. Yeah. So
Step on up.
Yeah. So that's been one of the bargaining chips. Beautiful. I will come visit your store And, you know, and we gave 30-day terms to all stores. You know, so they would have 30 days to sell the product before having to pay for anything. And my goal is to try and lead the customer to them so they can sell half the product inside the 30 days and they don't have to go out of pocket anything.
There you go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You got a plan. You're not going into this
trying.
blind. You know, you've thought about everything, and I love it. And that's why we wanted to have you on the show and talk about this new journey. And just because of, you know, it's first of all, it's a fascinating area. You know, just the fact that, you know, skateboarders, we don't have skater-owned shoe brands. You know, and very few and far between. And I like it. We want to support you, you know. And
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I think it's incredible to go on this journey and taking a chance on me, you know, to represent this brand.
Chris hasn't had a shoe sponsor in a long time.
I can hear it.
Trying to do.
It's been a while.
I'm trying to make the call, Jaimie.
Hey,
you know
man.
what I'm saying? Just like you calling the skate shops.
I don't know how much you're skating these days, but I got you.
Bro, check my Instagram.
Okay,
There's
I will.
nothing on there.
But
Speaking of skating a lot, you're coming out with a part. So don't sit here and say you're not skating. You're skating all the time.
Not all the time.
Well, you're coming out with a part.
I am coming out with a part. Originally, that part, the last time we spoke, was I was trying to drop it on my 50th birthday, which is next Friday.
Which
is not happening.
There's a delay.
There's a delay. So as the footwear brand got delayed from, you know, spring to summer, I was still like, okay, the brand's going to be out and I'm going to have a big amount of the legwork done and I'll be able to focus on the last 4 months, 5 months and just focus in on the part. And then when the brand got pushed back, you know, there's delays, a variety of delays that got me to here. But when the brand got pushed back and pretty much turned into a fall holiday release, it started looking like, how can I focus on both of these really colossal projects simultaneously? Right. And it's not possible. Right. And because I've taken my family, some of my savings, I'll say, not life savings, not everything I own, but I've put a good amount into it. As you said, $250K probably. I put that money into the brand. I feel like it only makes sense to prioritize that brand and the release of that brand and give it my full attention. And the video part is really for me, and it's for the fans, but it's for me to have one final hurrah of a video part. You know, I dedicated my life to video parts for like, I don't know, over 25 years. And so I really feel like it makes sense to go out with a part, not just kind of like have a couple of tricks and then not show up anymore. So I feel like I was so intentional about my career that I really want to end it on an intentional note. And since I'm focused on the brand quite a bit right now, I am going out a little bit. And to be honest, as my birthday started coming up, I felt like I needed to like up the effort because it was originally I was really trying to release it on my birthday. And I felt like I at least wanted to arrive on my birthday feeling like I could still do it and that, you know, I'm not out of the game. You know, this also said, I took a trip. I've taken a few trips, and I'll get into this a little bit. I've taken a few trips to try and get tricks, and I've like flew across the country and failed at the trick, gotten a curb trick over a 5-day period, and went home with one curb trick, and that is devastating.
I was gonna say, are you happy with the curb trick at least?
I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Okay.
It was it's like a front blunt on a curb that transfers into a rocky bank. So it's cool.
Okay.
But
not the
goal.
Right.
Yeah. Not the goal.
Right.
And
we've all been there, Jaimie, though.
Yeah, but I'm still putting that level of pressure on myself, and it's intense. So my point is that I was on this trip. It was in the end of summer. Dane filmed a little video of me, and I didn't have a shirt on because it was hot out. He put it on TikTok. I saw that video, and I was like, dang, that's what I look like nowadays. I've let myself go. Okay. I'm going to be 50 in 3 months. I got to tighten it up.
Okay.
So I went on a crazy...
Belly.
I did. It wasn't just the belly. It was kind of like I was just swole.
Okay. Your whole life.
Yeah. And it was kind of a wake up call. Sure. I'm going to be 50 in 3 months. I don't want to be ashamed of myself at 50 for letting myself go. And so that night I started this fitness regimen. I downloaded this app called Better Me. That's a calisthenics app. I started doing calisthenics immediately. And then I just got some like, I don't know, 15 and 20 pound dumbbells, which I've never lifted weights in my life. But I was like, I'm just going to start doing it. And
then
then
stuck with it the whole time?
Yeah. Upped my yoga regimen from like 4 days a week to 6 days a week.
Amazing.
And then started seeing fitness almost like meals, where like in the morning I'll do a small little calisthenics thing, and then late in the day, and then I work, a chunk of like, I don't know, 9:30 to 3:30, and then I leave the Zero office at 3:30 and head to yoga. And it's like clockwork. I don't care what deadlines are going on. I don't care what's happening. I'm leaving at 3:30. Everybody knows it.
Amazing.
So I've been going to yoga 6 days a week. And then in the evening, I have like a little like sit-ups, and I do like, it's super simple and basic, but it keeps me accountable. It's 100 crunches, sit-ups, or whatever, like some variety of a sit-up, 100, and then just 100 of different reps of these dumbbell lifts. And that's the fitness part of it. And then I like analyzed what I was eating. I realized that I was comfort eating quite a bit, reduced portions a bit, and then put in fasting, a 16-hour fast period from the last time I eat to the next time I eat through the night. So if I eat at 8 p.m., then I wait till 12 noon. If I eat at 6 p.m., then I wait till 10 a.m.
Okay.
And over 2 months, I lost 15 pounds in that time period. Very similar to Kelly's story, where
I lost at 16. Yeah, 16. It's crazy. Yeah.
And my man here is 40 years old today. Happy birthday, Kelly.
Hey, thank you.
Buddy,
you.
I brought you some shoes for your birthday.
Thank you. I love them, dude.
Don, I'm sorry. I'm trying to bring him to the dark side.
He's a true 40-year-old shoes, man.
Yeah. You earned those.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you made it all this far. Yeah. But similar, Kelly, I don't know if Kelly did, is that what happened to you? You were turning 40 soon and you wanted to be in shape when you got there?
Yeah. I mean, I go in waves like this, but you're like, you don't realize you're in these waves. And you're like, whoa. I got to chill out a little bit. I need to catch comfort eating, Sometimes I might do that, and that's okay. But you got to just step back and look at what you're doing and correct yourself.
Yeah.
And so you doing the calisthenics thing is what I need to start doing. Yeah. But
you're doing it jumping rope. But you're just using one single thing. I'm doing like whatever. This app tells me what to do. You put in your goals, you put in your fitness goals, you put in your weight, you put in your weight goal, and then you tell the app how much time you want to allocate per day, and it creates a program for you, and it changes each day.
What's it called again?
Better Me.
Okay.
Do you
Better Me needs to get me? I need to get sponsored now by Better Me.
Do you feel like it's helped your skating too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it helps my self-esteem and my confidence.
Confidence
and then
is huge, yeah.
And that just goes right into skating.
Right.
Watching yourself lose weight and get in shape, and you can start to see the results in the mirror like that has real value, And then I've never really been muscular. I was like skinny back in the day. And then, and I'm not muscular now because it's hard at 50. I'm not eating crazy protein. It's hard to put on muscle when you've never had muscle before.
Tell me about it. Jesus Christ, Dubs.
So but at the same time, it feels good to get in shape, and then it becomes a slightly addicting, and I think it's something healthy to be addicted to, like portion control and taking care of yourself. And, to be honest, I make this analogy a lot, but yoga is the most important aspect of my fitness. And the reason for that is that right now my mind is so fragmented, trying to like hammer this to-do list and figure out all these things I got to do for the launch and figure out what shops I got to call next. And I'm going through these waves of like every 2 days I'll call 3 shops, and then I'll get sucked into these other things, and then I'll do these other things, and I'm still working on Zero. So I'm kind of going in all these different directions, and I take all this clutter into my mind and I take it into yoga. And it's almost like, when you got a lot of stuff in your car and you're carrying it inside and you're about to drop everything, you're like carrying it all crazy. That's how it is when I go into yoga. But yoga is hot. I go to hot yoga. It's hot and it's hard. And I can't keep hanging on to all this stuff. So I have to let it go. I let go of all the stuff. And then when I leave yoga, I pick up the top 5 priority things and I can get back to it. But it clears my mind of all that clutter. And then also I say this is, if I had amnesia coming out of yoga, I wouldn't be able to guess my age. It's the only time where my body feels like I'm just floating. I feel just great. So that keeps me coming back.
Beautiful.
I love that.
That is
So
awesome.
you said that this video is going to come out when? Season 4 of the
Season
drop?
4, which is August.
Okay.
So it's inside my 50th year. So it's 50 tricks at 50 still, but it's not on my birthday of 50. It's just inside while I'm 50.
But the 50 tricks at 50, the only problem, the reason why I have a problem with the 50s at 50s and the 40s at 40s and 30s at 30s, that you try to fill it up and get that to that 50, that you'll put a 50-50 grind in, like something super easy that you normally wouldn't put in your video part?
So I'm a little bit not like that. I'm probably close to 50 tricks now. I'm probably in the high 40s, but the tricks aren't at the caliber I want them to be. So the 50 is just a storyline, and it's just a goal, you know. Really the part has to be good. And I just think that that's just something to, you know, like it's the sub line. It's the sub line on the YouTube video, you know, Jaimie Thomas video part, 50 tricks at 50. Right. You know, it's kind of just like more of like a marketing theme. It's a theme.
Yeah.
You tend to do that quite often, every year almost.
Well, I did those at skate parks, and that was just a skate your age thing. That's a thing. You know, Clyde Singleton did 50. And,
he's doing it.
You know, other people have done it.
Remember Felix did it at the Barracks a while back, like 40 for 40, I think he did.
Yeah. People do it, but that's what I'm saying. Though sometimes you just try to get that 40 or 50, you know, that those couple tricks, and now you're settling for just like a slappy 50-50.
I suffer on the opposite side of that, which is being brutally hard on myself,
right,
and not being content with what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I feel that I don't really see that being the problem. I see the problem being knowing this is my last part and being willing to let go of it and go, hey, here it is. It's finally coming out. I have to let go, and this is going to be it. You know, I'm not going to be done skating. I'm hoping I'm going to have, you know, 5 tricks in every zero video from here till I can't move.
Okay.
You know, but
beautiful.
But I'm just not going to go in full part mode where you got to like hyper focus, travel, you know, go across the country to get a curb trick. Like
we're in different parts of our lives.
Yeah.
At this point, for sure.
Totally. It's really, really hard. I can't. I've had so many breakdowns, you know, throughout the process, and to be honest, I've had so many waves of self-doubt with the brand too. Right. You know, so many waves of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Is anyone going to care? Is anyone going to like this? You know, and I let myself sit in that for a little bit, but I can't sit there too long. Yeah. I have to go. I got to go do something. Or I tell myself, what can I do right now to just push the needle forward, even if it's just the tiniest bit? And it's like, what can I work on to do that? But the same thing with the video part, you know, there's been a couple of times where I haven't gotten a trick in like 3 or 4 months, you know, and the deadline's kind of creeping up when I originally was going for October. And, you know, I was at like trying to get 2 tricks a month. Now I haven't gotten a trick in 3 or 4 months, and it's tough. Yeah. But then I go to try, and I just like as I was coaching somebody else, I'd be like, oh, go and get something in a ditch, or do something that's a little bit easier. That's cool. That'll look good on film, and it's stylish, but you don't have to kill yourself. Just to get the confidence rolling, get the ball rolling. Whether you use that or not doesn't matter, 100%. But just go get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You've said on the show that you've often picked the song first and then skated and then, you know, crafted your part to an already song that you had picked out. Is this the case with this? What is your...
I can't reveal the song, but
Credence? What are we talking about?
It's in that vibe, but I have 2 songs that I want to use, and I've been told by Thrasher both are impossible to get.
Seriously?
And
put it
so
on your own YouTube channel. Who cares? You don't need to...
Yeah. If you're going to do something...
He wants this to go out.
Yeah.
It'll go out.
It's Jaimie Thomas, dude.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, so for me...
I don't care about the revenue.
So for me, I think of... If I'm going to put all that effort into it, I want to give it the best chance of being seen. Right. And then I'm also working on my last Thrasher interview to go along with it. Okay. It was originally going to be 30 years of Thomas, but I don't know where that is now. It'll be 31 or 32 by the time this part comes out. Okay. At any rate, I would love to do it as a collaborative project with them. And I may just have to figure out another way to get those rights rather than going through the normal channels. Right. I'll try and ask every favor I can of everyone who knows anyone in the music industry in order to get it. Okay. I'll try, you know, and if I can, I'll figure something else out. But I have 2 songs, backup songs. Both are major artists. Both are dead. That makes them a little harder. Okay. So, yeah, we'll see if I can.
It's all up to the record labels or whoever owns those. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if I can pull it off. But August is where I'm at right now, and I have to. I mean, if it goes past,
we just had August.
I know, dude. It's
Jaimie. We're
10 months.
10 months.
Okay.
Wait, is it VX or is it HD?
No, it's not VX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not. Zero's actually. We're doing a Tommy Sandoval part, and that's the last VX project we have.
Shout out to Tommy Sandoval.
We moved. We moved to 4.3 HD.
Oh,
Okay.
So the
interesting.
Luminix has like a 4.3 camera. It still looks like crispy VX.
Yeah.
We've noticed in the last couple of videos you've integrated both of them together.
Well, I mean, you guys may have thought that, but we did mainly for the last since 2013, we've used VX fisheye and HPX long lens that whole entire time.
Okay, so it's never been HPX fisheye.
Only in projects that are HD.
Okay.
Yeah. and then we might have used like 3 tricks in like that less than zero video that came out that was the Luminix with a little bit of grain on it because it's 4.3. It looks kind of like VX.
Yeah.
And I think that April was the first one to do the 4.3 HD. Like they did a full promo video.
Oh, with Kevin Perez that he filmed that
yeah.
one?
So
He uses
that was like, oh wow, this looks great. This looks close to zero, and it's HD 4.3 is closer to VX looking. You can't see so far ahead of you, so it looks like the footage is moving faster.
Yes.
The further you can see ahead, that's slower. It looks like the skater's going.
Yeah.
So that's what that VX looks. But at any rate, Gabber's part was HD.
Okay.
Brandon Burley part was HD. Those are full HD.
Dude, Brandon. Yeah, okay. That dude's gnarly.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
gnarly.
sorry.
He's so gnarly. So rad. Easiest dude to work with. Best dude. Gabber's part too. Both those parts were amazing this year. But anyway, the part I'm working on is full HD because I want it to live for as long as it can. And if I do any life story or anything, I want to be able to use the footage in that as well. And it doesn't translate if it's
Jaimie
4.3.
Thomas, man, always thinking ahead. He's one step ahead. I love it. No, but it's great. I mean, thank you so much for sharing all this with us and kind of breaking it down on, your past endeavors with shoe companies, and then also just this new one. It's this isn't cheap. And
but I was gonna say, if anybody wants to start a shoe company out there and you need a contact, you got $200,000.
he's the man. He's the man.
I'll give you some pointers. I just went through a year and a half of how to start a footwear brand from scratch.
Man, well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And just supporting the skateboarders, and our skateboarding community is great, and I just stoked I'm on the team, man. Thank you for this.
Well,
beautiful.
And the same. Thank you for giving me a platform to talk about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and I'm so grateful to the shops that have taken it on, and I'm excited to get back out on the road and do these old man demos, whether they be just talking shop or playing skate. But yeah, I feel blessed to still be in the game, and
it's beautiful.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even get to season 3 is a Corey Duffel collaboration.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Okay. So you've already got, man. What seasons are we up to already? Do we have 4 planned? 4. Okay.
Yeah. So it's Ed Templeton, Bryce Knights, Corey Duffel, and myself.
But when you say seasons, is that per year?
Seasons, deliveries.
Okay.
Deliveries.
I don't know anything. I'm not.
I'm trying to do 90 days between deliveries.
That seems okay.
But they're small. They're small drops, though.
Right.
I'm not following, any corporate footwear structure calendar. Gotcha. I'm kind of doing what I feel like. What it really is taking a hard goods mindset and then trying to figure out what part of the hard goods mindset plugs into shoes. And so I feel like that I've been, with Dane and the crew, I've been rebuilding Zero over the last 5 years, and I feel like I've learned a lot about how some people buy, and we're trying some different things there, but I'm trying to take some of those ideas and putting it into this, like doing a limited edition board drop with each collection.
Got you. Okay. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like the little things that I can apply. So, and using the resources that we have to make this thing a little more compelling.
I love it.
Most people aren't doing board drops with their shoe drops.
How many boards you plan on making with each?
150 of each of those Templeton boards are happening.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah. So it'll be limited and they'll be signed and it'll be cool. But I'm just trying to make it as compelling as possible and to try and offer some differentiation wherever I possibly can.
Well, I have a question. So you're doing this for Ed Templeton first round, and so the next season it's going to be a story with Bryce Knights. But are there shoes that are coming along just like you did the white ones and the black ones that are in that same season?
Yeah, there will be new colorways that don't have anything to do with the collaboration that are just complementary to the collaboration. But if we were to plan, you'd start off with the BK shoe as the collaboration, and then what looks good around that.
So you're building everything in that around that story,
or Bryce came along after I kind of had the season somewhat planned out, and I asked him what he liked, and then he picked something, and then I just kind of, shifted. Like if he wanted gray, but I already had a light gray, full grain nubuck collection in the line, and so I went charcoal gray with him. I asked him if he was okay with like dark gray, so that way those two could coexist. And it's spring, but in February it's still winter in a lot of places, so it worked to have two grays. Normally I wouldn't do two grays in the same season, but because he really liked gray, and so that's what we
Gray's
did.
Great
Sick.
color,
Okay,
neutral.
cool.
And then a few of in the first season, since I bought in deep, the black and the white will carry over because I will likely still have quantities.
yeah. Makes sense.
Hopefully you won't, but
Hopefully I won't.
Yeah,
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. But I like it. I like the concrete. Are you calling it concrete?
Cement.
I like
Concrete
the cement.
sounds heavy.
True.
These are light.
Cement. Yeah, the cement color and the black. I like I do. I like everything. I like what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Really.
You're a target demographic, so I appreciate
I 100%. That's what I need a box.
Yeah, I
need
got
my
you.
first
I got
box,
you.
bro.
I got you.
Look at that, Kelly. Getting sponsors are,
Dude, you don't have to skate anymore.
I know.
Chris.
I do though. Have you seen that? I could still throw down the manuals.
What's been your most recent move?
Pop shove it, nose wheelie, manual, shifty manual.
That's
Thank
not
you.
a trick.
Shifty
That's not a trick.
manual.
Shifty manual.
That's not a
Shifty,
trick.
yeah, Jaimie, it's a trick. Shifty manual. It looks better than just alling up on. You do a little shifty, boom, landed manual.
All right.
You must be shifting the hell out of that fucking ollie, dude.
This is not looking good
I
on the
know.
resume.
Fakey pop, switch manual.
Okay, that's a move.
Yeah, that's a
dope.
move.
You telling me
I saw
that?
that. I saw that.
Thank you, Dubs. You telling me that a switch, a pop shove it nose manual is not a move?
That's a move.
Okay.
What
But
about
you're telling me a shifty manual's a move. I'm saying that's
It's
not
a
move.
beautiful move. I'm talking. I'm going for quality, not
Okay,
quantity.
fair enough.
Quality.
I can imagine if Gino did a shifty manual, I think I'd be sold.
Now
No
just
disrespect.
picture me doing it.
All right.
Wait, is it front side or back side shifty?
Look, here we go. This is it right here. Oh wait, go back a little bit, Raj. Oh,
He did a sight.
Jaimie,
You just fucked up ollie.
you know you like that, bro.
I'm not sure that's a trick.
Jaimie, are you,
You
kidding
landed
me?
sideways and then like came back.
You worked it out.
Yeah.
Dude.
What else you got? Let me see some
Look,
of your moves.
here's some other moves. So there's me talking. Okay, Roger, why do you keep rewinding the same one?
No, because it's right.
He wants to show that face over and over.
No. We got to see.
How funny was Don Brown's crow's feet talk?
He's
Every trade show, he
shut
got
up.
another.
There we go. Oh no, but hold on.
Cossack
This guy had a
walking by.
weird hit a mic in his back pocket. It looked weird. I had to tell him about it.
There's something in your back pocket,
Yeah.
bud.
It's hanging out of your butt, bro.
Okay, here we go.
We're stretching it out.
Yeah.
I like this.
Boom. There we go. Up. Almost.
You're working on it. This
Yeah.
is the My War.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, but I clipped on the way out, so I had to redo
Switch
it.
5-0.
That was
Yeah.
chill.
I think a little tail scrape on the way out.
Nope.
You don't back
Nope.
that?
A little
I-
pop. It was like a
no.
little pop.
I
Yeah.
had to clean it up.
Hang on a second.
I had to clean it up.
Hang on a second.
No.
So if you do a manual trick, you can't
This is the
touch the
make.
tail on the way out.
No, this is the make right here. Boom. Look at that.
I still can like
Watch
a little,
this, watch
a
this.
little
This is
switch
like-
off.
Yeah,
my
'cause
line.
it's a little dismount. It's a little dismount, right?
Yeah. Weck ain't coming in hot for the dismount.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
You clearly do. You did it again.
Yeah. I had to clean it up.
Good one.
That was recent. That was in Des Moines, the biggest skate
Yes.
park in America, 88,000 square feet. It's crazy.
And you crushed it.
Thank you, brother.
Dude, that's the first place anyone's seen a shifty the manual before.
Yeah.
It's the first time.
You're going to see a lot more of them now.
I hope not.
Jaimie, can we give you some 9 Clip stuff to take home with you,
yes.
dude? Kelly, we did the
Yeah, of
honors,
course.
bro. We got a couple things back there.
Yeah, size
And
large.
we appreciate you coming by and
Yeah.
sharing this new endeavor. You know, this is
Thank
not
you.
a normal episode for us, kind of. You know, usually, but I think I had to hear what was going on with this.
Definitely.
It's incredible, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an honor.
yeah, and I think you're gonna have a lot of success with this.
Thank you.
know, for sure.
Especially
believe
with
so.
you rocking them. Thank you.
Oh yeah, you already know.
Thank you, Pop Shove.
I'm gonna have to.
Switch manual.
Yeah, we didn't see the Pop Shove manual, but it's a good. Oh yeah, Kelly, thank you, bro.
Yes, thank you, Kelly.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Appreciate that.
First of all, Jaimie, dude, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Big fan, always. Teenage Wasteland. It's a teenage wasteland. We're all wasted.
You sang that before the show, and you did only the exact same lyrics. I thought you might know more.
Here's a sticker pack for
That's
you,
dope.
bro.
Thank you.
Nightclub sticker pack.
That's professional. I need to take
You
some
like that?
inspiration here.
Look at that, bro. It says sticker pack on the label.
Thanks for telling me what that is.
I don't know if you have a headphone sponsor, but
I
these
don't.
are
I
amazing.
do
Next
not.
plane ride you're
Candies.
on, next time you need to just in yoga.
When you
know?
go to all the shops, dude.
Yeah.
Go to.
All right.
These are the Skull Candy Crusher ANC 2s. You could mess with the bass in there. You can get bassy if you want.
Oh, these feel.
You can get
This is a quality
Yeah, you can
box.
get bassy
This is
with
a
it.
quality
Yeah.
box.
It's
This is
cool.
what you were thinking.
That
of.
is what they're passing it on to the consumer. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
they
saying?
are. The consumer's paying $2 for this box. Maybe 4.
You've been looking at it all day. There's a switch flip man.
Dude, I have been looking at
T-shirt.
it all day.
Yeah.
It distracts me when I'm talking, but
That's
now I
the
got the
whole
T-shirt.
point.
I
Yep.
can look at it
There you
constantly.
go. There's the 9 Club. And much
Did you-
like
Did you give a little extra flick on this switch flip? No, it's there. You got a flick, bro. Switch flick.
that's why I'm on the team.
I like the Stee right here too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the arms behind the backs.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what he's like.
oh.
He like Stees it
That's
out
why
to
I'm
the
on
side
the team, Kelly.
before he
That's why I'm
locks
on
it
the
in.
team, you know. And we not only, you know, you said you got like 4 iterations of your hoodies. Like we got like 7 of our
Yeah.
hoodies. So this is really tailored to
That's an
everybody's
independent
body.
hoodie.
Yeah. What?
It's an independent.
No,
it's
it's
an independent
not.
4000C.
It's
I know it
not.
is.
Jaimie.
Independent 4000C.
Well, thanks for coming on the show,
knows
Jaimie. We
hoodies.
appreciate you
Hey,
so
just
much.
so you know, this is the same hoodie we use for the Zero hoodies.
Okay.
It is,
Yeah,
in my
it's a-
opinion, the best hoodie for the price.
It's a good hoodie.
Agreed.
It is a good
Yeah,
hoodie.
slightly
We're-
oversized.
We're stoked on it.
Yeah.
And you do what you put in the wash, and it's like it's perfect.
I absolutely agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
dude,
you. And
thank
you can have
so much.
you guys can have the shoes I brought, and I'll
Ooh.
send you some.
Please,
Thank
I
you,
need
dude.
these pair.
Thank
right
you.
here.
All right, I got you.
And we need some. We need some gear though.
Oh, yeah.
The apparel comes in like a couple days next week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a box. You can fight over it.